before I say anything, I want to make sure this is working, so I'm not going to say anything until it pops up on my other screen. It popped up. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Retake the Week. I just had to make sure I didn't break everything by fiddling with some settings a few seconds ago. But we are back, and we are, of course, right smack bang in the middle of ROSTERMANIA. There's very little else going on. There's a bunch of smaller games from really small tournaments, which I have really not even kept track of. I have not been on it. I occasionally open HLTV and I'll see a match, and I'll be like, ooh, that could be fun, and then realize I'm on holiday right now. Like, this is a holiday period. It's ROSTERMANIA and finally getting some sleep. You know, that's what we're doing. Add the fact that I'm sick into the mix, and we're just having a rough time of things. But hey, plenty of roster moves, confirmed and otherwise. Good amount of otherwise. I've been through the notes. There's a lot of rumors, overdrive leaks. There's some things that are half done, some things that are just hinted at in certain posts. It's all over the shop, but there is certainly a lot of Counter-Strike to talk about. Before we get into all those discussions, before we even address the other guy on screen, you all know him, you recognize him. He's the guy with the greatest haircut known to man. We got to thank the people who make this channel so awesome, make certain things possible. The members who get access to a bunch of bonus content, but most importantly, in my eyes, support the channel directly, which is, of course, a huge deal for me. Yeah, they get access to interviews behind the scenes, which we just did today, and was mostly a lot of sniffling and sneezing. Again, I'm very sorry about that. I will try to abuse my mute button as best I can. And, of course, VODs of every live stream that isn't one of our regular shows. There are a number of them on there, and a bunch of different players that get basically analysed through that medium. Quack, welcome back. We took a week off. I was on holiday, which resulted in all of this. How have you been? You got anything to tell us about?
No. It's been. My headset broke just this weekend, which is sad. Tell me if I sound better or worse in this episode. I definitely feel worse. I got so used to being able to walk around my apartment while wearing my headset that doing this has been a real adjustment, and I can't even I can't even go across my whole desk. Like, I need to take my headphones off just to go to the other side of the desk. So this sucks. Hopefully resolved before next week's episode. No, not too much to promo. There's a really fun thing coming down the pipeline for this show in a few weeks, but you're gonna find out about that. I'm actually quite proud I managed to swing it. But hey, anyway, we'll it's a lot of ROSTERMANIA. I've been looking forward to this. This is one of my we do two of these every year, because there are two big shuffle periods.
Yeah.
And with the break, we have a lot of roster moves to talk about, and I like that. This is fun. So yeah, it's good. You are sick, of course, but as we said in our vows, we do this show in sickness and in health. So
yeah, of course. Until death do us part, etc.
Yep.
But for now, yeah. Let's get into stuff that isn't the roster shuffles, because we do have, well, technically this is all going to be ROSTERMANIA related. Everything on the list, even the things that aren't just a roster move, are ROSTERMANIA related. And we're going to start, actually, with a Q&A question. Submitted earlier this morning, as were both the Q&A questions, actually, were submitted during the night or early this morning. But one of them is actually related to a roster move that we'll talk about anyway, so we'll talk about that when we come to it. But for now, where is it? We are addressing an interesting question, which has basically given us the power of God. ZedButNotDead asks, if you could force one roster move, which one would you make happen? Like, I'm talking, I mean, I'm going to interpret this as anything. Like, you could literally force any roster move to happen. Where does your mind go straight away?
I have a good answer. The way my mind went straight away was Gamer Legion.
Okay.
Because they're doing some changes right now. And we've expressed previously that we're maybe not entirely happy with their selection of an AWPer. So actually, I have two candidates here, and I don't think I'd want to make both of these moves happen, but one of them for sure. So as for the AWP question, which I feel like is, I hope Gamer Legion haven't put pen to paper with a new AWPer yet, because they should absolutely pick up Fuzi, in my opinion. And I'd love that, but I think they've put pen to paper with Kersey. And look, okay, more and more, the more I look at this, the more I feel like Ash maybe has made a decent move here, but it's like, I don't think there's any way you get more value out of Kersey than you do out of Fuzi. Maybe monetary wise, like you have to pay for Fuzi, but yeah. The other move I was thinking about, if we hypothesize that Kersey ends up being a good option, I would quite like for Game Legion to seize the opportunity and sign Adam B in place of Tawson. And I like Tawson on this team. I think he's done really well, but Adam B is just such a guy. Like, he's such a good player. He's free at the moment, and he would fit pretty damn well into Tawson's spots. And out of server, does it work? I don't know. He likes playing with ZTR. I know for a fact, and I think ZTR likes playing with him probably. So I would like to see that move happen. So if I could force one, I think, just out of personal opinion, Gamer Legion picking up one of the two Swedes would be good. I wouldn't want to do both, because I feel like that would completely ruin PR's career to be on a team with 4 Swedes. But one of the two I feel like is an excellent opportunity for Gamer Legion, and I'd like to do it. It's not so much forcing. It's more so, well, it is forcing because I don't think they're going to do either of them, but I want them to. But that's where my mind went first.
Straight to Game Legion, straight to giving them Swedes. Of course, Quack stays on brand, as he always does. I don't mind, actually, the idea of, firstly, the Fuzi over Kersey thing. Fuzi's interesting because at a true tier 1 level, we've seen him compete. We haven't really seen Kersey at that level. We've seen Fuzi there, and he has been a bit up and down. He's had pretty off events, he's had pretty on events, he's had great maps, terrible maps, but what he has also been is insanely clutch. And that's sort of been the talking point with Fuzi. It's like, is the bad map worth the ridiculous clutch value, or the big map that he can kind of swing in your favor just by making your broken poor round into something special? And I would argue that if you're Game Legion, no, you're typically not trying to look for miracle plays out of your AWPer, is the style you've played. But at the same time, I think Fuzi can play the simple stuff the way you need him to, and then potentially give it to you. So I'm not sure you're going to sell Fuzi to Game Legion on that basis, but it is something he could probably fill in on. And then, on top of that, potentially give you something else. So, no, I do like the idea. And for me, look, I'm just looking through the top teams right now. I want another top team. I want another team that's going to compete for the top 4s, compete for the titles, potentially upset Vitality. My first instinct is just to look at FaZe and go, what if we just forced Simple onto FaZe? You know? Just full time, just forced him on. We currently don't have him signed for anyone, still on the bench at Na'Vi. What if we forced FaZe into that move? Slash force Na'Vi, really. They're the ones who hold on to it. But I don't think that's necessarily the be-all, end-all. So what I'm going to do is actually, I might break a team to fix another one. I'm going to break Liquid to make G2 as good as I want them to be. So I'm going to go by the assumption, this is going to be wild, I'm going to go by the assumption that Matisse is coming in. And so is Sampaius and Saul, all that combo is happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to force Shuhei out of Liquid into this team for Hunter. Now, the roles are a bit all over the shop, and I'm asking some of these players to go from being, kind of opening players to maybe a more of a lurking style, but I'm going to give them a stronger, younger IGL. This IGL is going to have some of the most bonkers pieces to work with, a stable AWPer, and an amazing coach. I think that team goes fucking hard.
Yeah. Talented. I feel like you have a lot of aggression there, though. Like a lot of offensive play.
Yeah, you do. And that's what I was saying. The roles are weird. Yeah. But I'm talking, Heavy God now gets to be a pure lurker. Pure lurker, pure closer. We have to figure out who out of Matisse and Marbs can really be the more, hybrid, sort of more passive, more half lurk, essentially, rather than necessarily straight openings player. But hey, look, good, yeah. Talent, a good coach, and a strong IGL, it'll work. I don't care, it'll work. Typically, teams that try to make roles work that shouldn't, but don't, it kind of fails. It's because they don't have those strong leadership pieces. They don't have a good voice on the server, and they don't have a strong, understanding coach. So I think that's the combo we need.
Yeah. All right. No, I'm okay with that move. That's a pretty cool move. That is definitely forcing a move. That cannot happen.
That's a big force, but hey, that's kind of where my mind went.
I do think, look, the way we're going to talk about this later as well, but I feel like you could end up with something not as good, but almost as good with the way that Hunter is going to be calling and like the way Hunter is going to be here. Like G2 are taking good steps this shuffle season, it seems like. But I'd prefer your move. I'd prefer Shui to be in there, of course.
Yeah, look, Hunter's an interesting experiment, and we're going to get into that whole roster soon enough. But just saying, I wouldn't say it's a perfect fit, just off the bat. So, look, that's where my mind went. We already had that one question that was separate, that we didn't just integrate into an actual move, because obviously there was actually a question related to this exact move later on, and we're just going to discuss it in its entirety when we get to it. But that's where my mind's been recently. Obviously, with the amount of sickness flowing through me, my mind's just been not involved in a lot of things. Like, I've mostly just been sleeping and playing PGA Tour 2K21. Don't ask. It's a very low effort game. I just wanted to do something and watch TV. So we're going to move on to actually relatively early on in the episode, but a regular staple. We've actually got a ROSTERMANIA related Cock of the Week.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Who have you picked out?
I hate Wildcard and their management at this point, because what the fuck are they doing is the TLDR of this Cock of the Week. So I'm going to jump the gun here, and I'm going to talk about this roster move. For context, they've cut their in-game leader, and they've cut their best player by far. His name is Fuzi. They've cut both of those players for some reason, and they've signed Keeping, a 20-year-old American player who has never played, like pretty much never played against the top 50 team in his life. And they've
basically the joke is he's never faced a flashbang.
Yes, he's only played in North America. He's played one LAN, and he was good. Like, I'll admit he was good in Philadelphia. But look,
but so was Sly. Like, come on, like there's a lot of players who can bang out a fucking Philadelphia. That's the problem.
Yeah. And they've also promoted Friend, their 23-year-old academy opper, who is also going to in-game lead on this team. And I'm thinking, what are they doing? Like, what is going on here? This is ruining my baby. Like, my favorite team. They're ruining so hard. Like, what are they? I don't know what's going on, because they signed Peeping before the major, which we know led to difficulties inside the team. We know that, like, the whole Stewie thing, they were unhappy about that. It looks like the team themselves might not have been entirely down with cutting Stan and Fuzi. Like, the way I'm reading into everything that Vince, the coach, has written about on Twitter, it's just like, it's all like, oh, you are the best in-game leader, and you are the best opera I've ever played. It's all of that stuff. And like, I'm sure you'd say that out of courtesy, but this is like, you could get away with just saying thank you for the time. It was nice playing with you. You didn't have to write a novel. I get the feeling that Vince is absolutely not down with this move whatsoever. So your coach is probably, I'm conjecturing that the coach is not down for it. You've already caused discontent in the team before their home turf major by signing a player, and like, the rumors come out. You don't even tell the team. The rumors come out, and the team is like, "What's going on? Am I being cut?" They didn't even know who was getting cut. Like, Sonic and Susp were on the edge when Peeping was signed before the major, and now both of those are staying. Sonic is probably being cut later. Like, the report is that, you know, Peeping and Friend is not the only move going to happen. They're only keeping Sonic for the VRS. So the first month or two of this season are going to be completely wasted, because they're going to cut Sonic for an American player. And then, look, the way I feel about this move is, you already have Jaba, and Jaba's LAN struggles have been a big issue for Wildcard. And they've said that, like, it's the pressure. He gets nervous on LAN, and he gets nervous with these things. You've already had that with a young American inexperienced player who's getting into tier 1 international play. And you've had Stanislaw and Vince and the rest of the team, presumably, trying to fix this problem, failing to fix this problem. Like, this is a problem they've had. They've failed to fix it. So your solution to this is to get an in-game leader who is much less experienced and himself will be doing his tier 1 debut, and another player making his tier 1 debut. And that's your solution to somehow fix the team, including Jeba. Like, what the fuck is going on? This makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, every time I've read these reports and every time I've heard talk about this, I've just kept going, what the fuck? Like, this, it makes no sense. And it seems like just a couple of like a week ago, they didn't even know who was going to be cut. Like, they didn't even know who was going to be leaving the team. They didn't know who was going to come in. I'm assuming Susp is like sitting there sweating his balls off. Like, what the is my spot in danger? Like, probably Sonic probably already knows.
Yeah, they fully downgrading to an NA roster, but then they promote Friend. So you're like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's a bit of a It feels like, honestly, it feels the most like this is a financial thing. Like, yes. We're cutting experienced pieces we've had for a while, pieces that have proven themselves. Stanislaus just been around forever, but also has all that pedigree, probably asks for more money. Fuzi probably starting to also want a decent pay rise or wants to talk about, signing long-term deals, potentially getting his money in because he's been so clutch in so many big events, so impactful. And Wildcard were like, we don't actually give that much of a shit about our esports team. We don't want to invest a bunch more money into it. What about these North American kids? How about our academy project? Let's just promote someone. Let's bring someone in that's never played a real LAN, so can't demand a real tier 1 player sort of salary. So yeah, this is a weird one.
You don't even have to make the peeping move happen anymore because they adjusted the VRS. Wildcard in their previous configuration with Fuzi, Stanislaw, Sonic were an American team according to the VRS. The next time they play a map, they would still have been on the Americas ranking. No more Stewie shenanigans. Like, it's complex, but that's how it worked because they had 2+2+1. Like, they made it happen. Like, Valve were like, yeah, you're American now, and they still made the peeping move in practice, they're making the peeping move for another American player. And I'll like, imagine if they do some crazy shit, like they pick up. Let me just pull somebody out of thin air. Let's say they pick up Call Me Sue instead of Sonic. Okay. I know he's played in America before. I'm just picking up an Asian player. Let's say they just randomly they pick him up from Linvision. He's actually played for Wildcard before he got. Oh yeah, actually he got deported. That's why he left. I'm dead serious. That is true. It's trial ended because he had to go back to China. Anyway, imagine if they do that. Then you have 2+2+1 again.
When is Ice coming on the VRS rankings, bro? Like.
All right. Anyway, no. I'm just baffled at what the hell is going on. So yeah, and also just it's really funny when the peeping report came out from Dust 2, they had a comment from their manager, from Jeremy 9000, the Wildcard manager. They asked him for a comment like, is this accurate? Like, and he was like, no, it's not accurate. We're not signing peeping. It's an inaccurate report. We're not.
So bro just lied.
He was already signed. Like, he was already pen to paper. Like, it's, what are they doing? Like, this team, no, please stop. And I envision the Wildcard there's a good look, they have some invites now. I'm assuming they can surf the ranking a little bit more because they have a decent ranking. Beyond a certain point, I don't think they're playing a single tier 1 event for the rest of this year. And then Susp is like, the good piece is going to be sold for scraps. Susp is going to end up somewhere else over the winter shuffle. I'm so sure of it. And that's a shame. It's such a shame. So yeah, fuck them. We hate Wildcard now. I'm going to be hate watching Wildcard except for Susp for the rest of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm, puzzled, perplexed. Was having some fun watching Wildcard, seeing them develop. And then this offseason happened and I'm very confused and very annoyed. But yeah, let's get into the rest of the moves. Our official moves, for which we have graphics. Way. Guess who spent half a day on this? Me. But yeah, let's get into it. We start with the heroic move, one we've basically previewed, one that's complete now with all the signings made. It is official. Xfloud. Yes, some pious saw. Oh god, I was just making sure I'd written the right things on the graphic. Apologies again, I am on a lot of medication and very sick. For a second, looked at removing some pies and saw. I went, hang on, aren't they adding them? Like, I am that far gone. Like, I'm so out of it. And adding Nilo back into the main roster after his brief addition, which involves 0 maps played and a 3-hour window. Tobiz from Mouse NXT and Grix from the Astrum team. We once knew as Aurora. We once knew as Aurora Youngblood. He was a rising star and finally has found his way into the top side of CS. He's in Tier 1 now. Heroic should be a Tier 1 team. But yeah, let's talk about this. I have a grade on it. We'll get to the grade eventually. I'm just going to start with my general assessment. This is a bit weird. It is a bit weird. You know, the whole role balance between Nilo and that Belarusian, as Simple addressed him, Tanir, is going to be interesting. It's going to be a strange thing to figure out. I've seen some people talk about how they've seen Nilo play other roles, and he's, you know, in Swedish teams, he's done a bunch of things. But I actually think Tanir makes more sense in the more aggressive capacity. Not necessarily for a playstyle sense, but more explicitly because of his abilities. Nilo, when I watch him win a round, does it with his brain first and his aim second. And as much as... Fucking hell. As much as... sorry. My hair was all over my face. As much as... Tanir is cerebral and can lurk through people and do some smart stuff, he is also just bodying people straight up in aim duels, time and time again. And I do feel like he's got more that edge in a fight, which I think you need when you're taking those aggressive opening type engagements. So my grade on this, now revealed, is an A-. Because talent-wise, the talent's there. And I think they've done a great job replacing what they lost, which was the biggest part of this. Losing Saw is not a casual coach replacement. Like, not just one of those run-of-the-mill, just add in a coach. That's a hard coach to replace. And Tobiz is a guy who has proven himself in the Mouse NXT time and time again in terms of his ability to develop pieces into something better. Into legit stars at times. Like, not just good players, but star players. So I actually love this move. As far as the coach replacement, Grix is obviously, you know, one of the few AWPing prospects we talked about as having legit tier 1 star potential. They go and sign them. Perfect. And then bringing Nilo back, as much as xCloud made more sense for the roles, and he'd finally had a good, like, sort of run, and it was looking really strong. You didn't sign Nilo to have him sit on the bench the rest of his life. So as soon as he's ready to play, he should be playing. He is a mega talent. He was considered Sweden's basically like #1 talent up until he benched himself. This was... Yeah, well, that's a whole other conversation. He was the guy. You signed him. You need to play him. It has to be an A-. It can't be an A+, because there's all these question marks about how it's going to work. But as far as the talent acquisition, replacing the insane like value you had before, somehow Heroic have done it again. They're pretty damn good at this whole ROSTERMANIA stuff. Like, doesn't matter how difficult the rebuild is, doesn't matter how rough the individual players lost are. They seem to be able to rebuild a competent-looking roster every time, and they should be still on the fringe of top 10.
Yeah. It's good to see Nilo here. I think he's going to do well. They didn't need to make the Nilo move. xCloud was there, and I feel like xCloud would be perfectly fine to carry on with into the fall season if you wanted to, and just hot swap some pies and Grix would have worked just fine. But they want to make this Nilo move, and that's good for them. That's really really good that they've done it. But yeah, I was surprised about the xCloud thing. I was surprised about the Nilo thing. I didn't think Nilo would ever play on Heroic. I thought he would sit on the bench and either get loaned out or released at some point or bought out by a different team. But he's here. Seems to be doing fine. Did you see the announcement video they made?
I literally, it popped up on my Twitter, but I didn't unmute it. I didn't watch it all.
It's very funny. He comes in and it basically says like the timestamp is like January 2025. He comes in and he's like, today I'm going to show you how to build an IKEA bench. And you know, they just film him like building an IKEA bench, and then there's a ticker like day 4, day 13, day 56, and he goes up to 154 or however long he was in the bench, and he's like, "Look, it's finished. Are you gonna sit on it?" "No, I don't sit on benches anymore." Welcome, Nilo. I laughed really hard at that.
That's so
Anyway,
stupid.
I like this move. It's a weird unbalance of roles. Like I say, Tenier probably gonna have to step up. I expect that Youngster is gonna take a little bit more like entrying, a little bit more like that, to fill a void here. But mostly it's probably gonna be Tenier, because you are losing something in X-Cloud role wise. Nilo is not gonna be replacing that 1-for-1. So as for Tobis, I think Tobis is a good signing. He has developed some insanely good players. Like, he's been with Mouse and XD from the start, and that means we're talking about Shui, we're talking about actually no, he wasn't there from the start because he didn't play with Torji. Cyclone did. But yeah, he's played with Sui, he's been with Jimpat for like all of the first part of his career. Zershin for a while, like, you know, and most importantly, maybe PR, Sierra, Nate, and Chrisen, who are all doing just fine at the moment. So
yeah, those guys are like the next crop of Mao's talents.
Yeah.
They're actually almost exclusively not on Mao's. And some of them are looking pretty tight, like pretty tidy.
Yeah. So it's like, he can definitely work with good players here. And because there is some development which needs to be on here. I think Grix, as much as it's not just a language issue, but he's going to be integrating to a new team. That's always difficult. And he did choose to go to Heroic specifically. He had offers from both Furia and Gamer Legion, but he wanted to go to Heroic specifically to play with Tenier, is what he said. So that's good. Like, the chemistry seems to be good here. You've got, you know, I feel like this is going to work out great. And actually, like, Tenier has really developed over the year, I think, as well, or like so far, where he was previously, like, just the media game alone. It's like, at the start of the year, he seemed to be out of it. He was very, very awkward. He wasn't comfortable in his English. I'm assuming it was the same with his teammates, but we saw him in the major, and it's like the team chemistry looked much better, and he was more comfortable speaking English in interviews and stuff. And you could see him speaking with his teammates. He was speaking much more comfortable, and that's really good, I think. So this team is developing very, very nicely. I would honestly maybe even consider Grix to be an upgrade over Senpai's. Like, There's
the potential. There's the potential.
Yeah,
that's you're not wrong in terms of talent. He has what it takes. It's just about can he deliver on it? Can he actually be that guy? We'll see. We hope so. I mean, we're both pretty big fans of Heroic. So we believe in this move, especially the Grix portion of it. Like, we've both watched Grix at a low level. I've done some demo analysis of Grix. I really hope that he can outperform who Senpai's was, because Senpai's wasn't that much of a star on this Heroic team. Like, he brought consistency towards the end of it. Like, he was solid and had a few really strong series, but generally he wasn't like the main star of this Heroic team at any point. Grix could be. That's what we're saying. Like, he has that potential. So I get the excitement. Hoping it works out.
I'll tell you as well, like, Senpai's, he wasn't perfect this year. Like, he's very talented, but he wasn't perfect, and especially on LAN. He was one of the guys who dropped off more. If you go from online to LAN play, in the 52 LAN maps they played versus the 54 online, it's almost 50-50. Tenier was better on LAN overall. Xfloud, bit of a slight drop off. Senpai's had a pretty big drop off, 115 to 107, which is quite significant. So is Grix gonna have the same? Like, he wasn't perfect in that regard. And Senpai's, I did feel some games he didn't have the sort of maybe he just wasn't being set up in the same way he was on Ents at times, or on Movie Star Riders, but like, he could have insane impact, but he was also like the guy to do it. I'm not sure they were playing the same way here on Heroic, but there's opportunity here where I feel like Grix has a higher ceiling. So if you maximize that ceiling on Grix, I do feel like he ends up being better than Senpai's overall. But we're gonna see how that develops. And I'm really happy about this move.
Yeah, pretty big one to start off with. In terms of the number of players moving around. The next one is a pretty big one, just in terms of the team involved. And it's technically still not confirmed. It's still a rumor. We are just going to have a conversation about this because it feels like we have to. We're moving on to Spirit.
Actually, Magix has just been benched.
Yes, half of it has just happened. Half of it has happened. The other half of it is still rumored. Right? It's still rumored. But at this point, the other rumors surrounding the player being added are quietening. It feels like Zway for Magix is the next step. Like, that's what's going to be coming next. let's talk about this, because we did a bit of demo analysis a couple weeks ago now. It was the sort of conversation we were having was Zwei is connected to everyone. Is he the solution for everyone? Is he the solution for Spirit? For me, kinda, yes. That's kind of where we're at. So he was a guy who played some less aggressive roles sometimes. He played some supportive roles, some anchoring roles. He did a bit of trading. He was pretty strong in all those positions, whilst also not demanding an excessive amount of resources. Very stable crosshair placement, sort of aiming style, but had the explosive flicks in him. Very consistent, actually, in terms of his bursting and spraying, I found. We'd watched one horrible map where he got absolutely bodied by specifically ZywOo on Dust 2, where literally he would walk out somewhere and he would get banged. Like, over and over and over again, just by ZywOo's AWP. I mean, we saw some banger ZywOo AWP highlights in that map. If you haven't watched the POV, go watch it. ZywOo versus Namiga. Dust 2, his POV, has an insane B hold where he's just re-peeking the big box on B with an AWP and just banging them out one after the other. But yeah, if you watched Zwei's POV on the other end, it's just swing out somewhere, see ZywOo die. And at one point, he just gets straight killed through a smoke. And that was the worst it got. But at the best, you're talking about guys just walking out, taking long-range duels on train, hitting headshots, having impact in spots where you quite often see Magix try to fight and just fall short. Time and time again. Magix was often a player who's, given that sort of dead fox treatment. The roles are despicable. How could he ever be asked to do anything? Then you watch his POV, you're like, winnable fight, lost it. Winnable fight, lost it. Winnable fight, lost it. Easy trade, lost it. Like, it's just not true. Yes, his roles are tougher than some other players, but he still has a lot of winnable fights he just drops because his mechanics have been inconsistent. Criminally so. Yep. And when he peaks, we see the Magix we remember talking about when we were watching him as a 15-year-old. Back on Spirit. Like 15. He didn't start at 16. I'm pretty sure 15 the first time he's playing with Spirit.
Might be right, yeah.
And he's doing these things where he's like, he was kind of a classic CSGO almost hybrid. He was allowed to second AWP at times. His rifle, it looked really sharp. And you're like, this guy could be like such a great player when they eventually get to that next level. Like, they're a really young team generally developing around Chopper. Like, this could be awesome. He never quite found that. He became sort of the role player for Chopper, his sort of right-hand man, just always there, filling in the space, doing what he needs him to do, but never developed into anything resembling a star. Or even like one of those, what we used to say, prototypical like third or fourth stars, or third star, or fourth man, where he has strong performances. No, he's just quite often been just bottoming out, and an issue, when he's not had, the occasional stupid Super Saiyan run like he did in Shanghai. Like, for the most part, it's actually been very disappointing. So I think this is a clear upgrade, and it's not even a question of, will the roles work? I think the roles will be near perfect. He interacts perfectly with both what Zontix and Magix does. Like, yes, some Zontix roles, some Magix roles. They'll be able to figure that out quite easily. Spirit have to get an A for this move. I can't really fault it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like Magix, but he's not the best. I think he's done very well, and I do really respect that. So far, in his career, he is a one-club man. He's been with Espada, but look, Espada was Team Spirit's academy team before Spirit Academy existed. Like, it's. I think he was
literally. Yeah, it was.
Yes,
it was not even the worst kept secret.
Yeah, it was. It was like the same owner, but without a paper trail, and that meant they could play against each other. Like, it's kind of shady, to be honest. But yeah, that was the case. There's a reason why, like, Dexter, Patsy, Hallie, Sotfik, like, all of these people moved on to Spirit or Spirit Academy, Magix as well, from Espada. Like, that's very much a reason. I do think it's hilarious when Patsy and Dexter were loaned to Spirit from Espada. But yeah, anyway, it's very much, yeah. Overdrive was coaching them, for God's sake. It's that's always been the case. But I do respect him. Like, I do respect that. He's really stuck it out, and he's really developed as well. Like, he came in, like you say, he was 16, just barely, but he just came into Spirit and he stayed there his entire career, and that's impressive. And it's nice that they've they've really managed to develop him into somebody who I think could land on a different team as well. So that's good for him. Like, there's definitely teams that I think could find a use out of Magic's, and that I like. Maybe not in this shuffle, but over the winter, I think it's entirely possible. Now, as for Zwei, I think we said 2 weeks ago in the last episode, I think I said whoever gets Zwei wins. That's how I felt a little bit about the Russian, the Russian shuffle, because he is a crazy player, and he could have. They like VP could have had him instead of Perfecto. That would have definitely worked. I feel like BetBoom definitely could have used him, especially if they had lost Mayonnaise. Maybe then it would have been a very like, depending on how things shuffle around. Spirit, I have like they obviously had number one pick being the best Russian team, and they managed to make it happen. Yeah, he's a crazy player. 17 years old as well. Like, it's they're definitely going for developing youth, and I would dare say it's working. I think Spirit have one of the very best for years now. Again, Magic's case in point is that I think they've developed youth players very, very, very well for years now. It's not just Sontix and Donk or Kiyosuke now. Like, this has been going on for a while. Dexter, as I said, also an Espada player, also like a product of Spirit, of like the Spirit youth development system. So for Zwei to come in here, already pretty much a finished player, I would say, like the way he's played. He just played in the Austin Major at 17 years old, playing like this level he was showing there in his first major. Insane. And he basically a finished player. And he's so young, and he's coming into a system which can really develop him as well. Like, if things click here, Zwei might just end up being one of the best players out of Russia of all time. Like, end of career, we might look at him as somewhere up there with like Donk and Electronic. Like, that's sort of how I feel about Zwei at the moment. Like, long term, that's how good he could be. That's his ceiling.
That's a crazy projection, but yeah. I mean, look, we have I have to always, remind people that players' peaks are always, we're kind of warped in terms of how we remember peaks and how long they should last, because we quite often reach the end of a player's career and think, oh, he was a trash role player his entire career, forgetting when their peak was. And also the other part is when we start a player's peak, we always think, he's going to be Nico. No one else has been Nico,
Yeah, that's true.
It's difficult to judge exactly where he could end up. But look, for right now, for what we've seen him play,
his ceiling is very high.
Banger move. And like, people will get misled by the stats. They're going to look at his like Nemiga numbers and be like, oh, openings? He has a lot of openings? On T side, he took a few earlier fights at this last couple months. But overall, he's very much in the flow of things. He's not necessarily set up very hard. He is going to be, if they let him be, he will be more aggressive than a player like Zontix or Magix has been in this team. And that'll be interesting. May bring another playmaking edge to the team that we've said they've been lacking for a while. Like, we've always been saying that if it's not Donk making a play, who is it on this team? Yep. And unfortunately, it's been mostly a lot of no one. Now we've got an opportunity for someone else to be also just stepping up, bringing that heat. Outstanding move, but we need to move on. Otherwise, we will be here all night. And it's not even night yet. The next move is very small relative to this one in terms of the size of the team, but I thought very interesting. We're going to be talking about Parivision, who have done what we all assumed they would do eventually. And James is IGL. Goodbye, Kicker. A strange addition as far as AW instinctively, but if you look at Parivision's player, like the group they have, the roster, it kind of makes sense because we've realized they're just adding talent. Like, that's just what they're doing. They're just finding young talent, and then they'll mold them into the roles afterwards. We talked about how that was their philosophy before. It pretty much is their philosophy here again. Now, AW for me is a player that I've been not critical of, but a bit of a downer on, just because I'd watch him play on Amcal, and I would, firstly, not get the super excitement, like the insane hype. But I would also be like, we're really looking at this team and coming out of it talking about him? Have you watched Molodoy? Yeah. That was kind of my frustration at the time. But, he's had a decent run to close out this recent period with Amcal. He's been showing some stronger stuff. and he hasn't been as fixed in terms of like just being an openings guy. He's been a bit more mixed, a bit more balanced. I don't know. Sorry, I got a missed call. Just making sure it's no one important. It isn't, because I don't recognize it. He's been a bit more balanced and honestly just pretty productive as a star rifler for them. Now, how he's going to fit in on Parivision is my question. Like, how is this going to work? Do we believe in James and Dastan to again forge him into another fame, another flit, another major winning player potentially? Don't know about that. But the grade I have to give them is an A, because Kickert's a bum as far as the fragging. Let's be real. And his calling, not exactly leagues ahead or even particularly different to James. So you might as well narrow it down, simplify, bring this guy in. I think it's a good move. I think it's a really strong move. They've gotten an actually kind of insane roster now. Belchanok, AW, Zielo, Nota. Like, they've just taken 4 of the best tier 2 Russian riflers and just gone, James, win us something.
Yeah.
Just with these talented pieces. And it's kind of nuts, but I think it could work.
Yeah. It's very talented. It's 4 young, very talented players. So you're asking James to do it again with how he worked with Avantgar and VP kind of, because it's easy to forget, but Buster and Kickert were pretty young players at the time. Like Buster, we're talking 2018, 2019, Buster's 25. He was 18 at the time. We're talking about, I mean, he had Adren. Adren was there for help, of course, but Kickert, same thing. He's 26. He was 19 when, like, they were 19, 20 years old when they played the major final in Berlin. So Jamie himself's not that old either. Like, he was also 18, 19. So they're doing very good in that regard. But yeah, you're talking about maybe doing another flip, doing another fame. That's sort of what we're trying to do here. They're excellent players, all of them. Belchanok, I think the fact that he has managed to stick it out on Parivision longer than anybody else, despite this team effectively being a bit of a revolving door, it kind of shows why he's here.
He's just too good to cut, really. Like, he's just too good to cut.
Yeah, that's
even when they
mean,
bring in notes and it's like, oh, there's role overlap. Belchanok's still fragging. Belchanok's still producing. You're like, you can't cut the guy. He's just that good.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, and that's really good because, like, he's sticking out here. He's staying with Parivision while many other players have failed to since they entered the game. Like, I'll tell you, Belchanok was on this first roster. He was benched for a time, as was basically the entire team. For a while, they had a very weird roster, but they brought him back after they cut Jerry.
Just a weird note. The bench of Parivision is 5 players currently. Mm-hmm. Art Frost, Travis, Alpha, Kickert, Jerry. It's the most random assortment. And Jerry's been there he's been on the team while he's been on the bench for a year at least.
He must have signed a huge contract, yeah.
Yeah, I think last June or
he signed
May,
end of 2024. So yeah, if he has a 1-year contract, it's ending soon. So that's good for him anyway. But yeah, it's like a lot of players have been through where Alpha's been through, Jerry has been through in terms of the in-game leading, Kickert as well. Travis, I think Travis has been a good player in the past, but he just didn't work here whatsoever. He was ass, especially towards the end of this team. So they're just waiting to cut him. Patsy has been here, got benched. We've had Hegav be here, who at least used to be a very talented rifler, or somewhat talented rifler. He's also been gone. We've had other players like X-Power and Raijin, who I think Raijin has showed decent stuff at times in his career. But yeah, it's like Belchanok is a level above. Nota looks like he's a level above. Cielo looks like he's a level above. AW, I think the jury's still out, but like he's good. He's good. So for that, yeah, Parivision could be very good.
It's a bonkers little roster. And look,
it
could be an absolute like firecracker. And as correctly was pointed out in the chat, James is a miracle worker. Like, he does turn pure dog shit into dynamite, like time and time again. And even if sometimes it's very ugly to watch, like he's got to force it through, he still makes it happen time and time again. So look, full credit to James. He's probably going to need to work his greatest miracle to make this sort of 4 young riflers with 0 real top-end experience work. But he's done it with a bucket of rusty parts and little else before. So I'm going to give him that credit. That's why I've given this an A. A part of it is because I believe in James and Dastan's ability to just turn pieces into something, literally random pieces into something, but also just, it's a talent upgrade. Up next, a move that we've basically talked to death, but got confirmed officially, so we're going to talk about it briefly. Falcons. The move is official. Magix is gone. Here comes Kyosuke.
Yep.
Surprised this happened? Oh my god, it came out of nowhere. We'd never heard a thing about this. Then all of us, obviously. We already talked about it on like 3 different episodes. That's why I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time on it. Just going to flash a grade up. There you go. B, the roles make 0 sense. You signed a kid. It could work. It's probably going to be a nightmare for Zonic. There you go.
I'll use this spot to talk about a little rumor I heard about. And I want to ask you what you think about this. Bit to Falcons could happen.
Yeah, this
Could
has been.
happen.
It's not
What I heard.
It's not a new conversation, unfortunately.
It's been speculated because it fits so well. Like Bit Monacy history, he's underperforming in Navi. He might be unhappy. He's still got that star value. Like Falcons could still want to pay up for him. And I think maybe his contract's coming to an end anyway. It could happen. Now I've actually heard that it could happen. I've heard that this could happen. It would be for Teslas. What do you think?
It'd be a great move as far as rebalancing the roster as well. Quite importantly, it also put a little bit more focus on a kind of youth. You'd be back to sort of being a semi-developmental team, but it just probably shifts your floor down a bit just for now. But that ceiling is just insanely high if you bring in Bit for Tessus. I think you'd be quite happy with it if you're Falcons. They were to make that move.
Yep.
A lot of people analytically would be like, yeah, this is great. It's making way more sense. Now you have actually the roles balancing a lot better when you talk about removing a more aggressive piece finally, because you've just got a bunch of entry fraggers. Yeah, that kind of conversation becomes a lot easier to have in terms of you have a proper lurker who's also known for his anchoring. You're not just making things work, just making do with what you have. It's a great idea. But for now, because that's not happening, we kind of have to be a bit roll sell and just say, it's not that smart of a move. You are just trying to force, triangles through a square hole. Like just fucking, just shove it in. And whilst it, could work, the ceiling could be insanely high. When you're talking about Monacy, you're talking about Nico still somehow in his prime. I refuse. Like, this is a down year. He's still one of the best riflers we have. Kyosuke's raw aim talent, that combination could win you a lot of stuff. Plus, you'll occasionally get a map out of Tessas that just blows your mind. That combo can win you stuff. It's just a question of consistency. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
All right, moving swiftly onwards to another technically rumored move, but one that we have to address in sort of detail. It's already been mentioned on the show. G2. So a bit of a strange graphic here, where technically 2 of the players who are being removed are in brackets, because one was a stand-in, one was removed a while ago. I've only just put Snacks on the graphic, but it's the removal of Snacks, Taz, and Hades, technically, and the addition of some Pious Saw, and then rumoured, linked, strongly intimated Mattis. Already basically what we've discussed for G2, is in terms of me addressing it, then saying, what if I also did this? But we just have to address what's on the page right now. And let's talk about these roles and these potential upgrades v downgrades. Firstly, they've taken a huge upgrade at the coaching position. We're talking about a guy who wasn't really a coach, just got given the job because some form of weird nepotism. I don't really understand why Taz was ever the coach of G2. To a coach who has been doing it forever and doing it arguably at like the top of the game. Like, there is always a conversation about who the top coaches are. You're talking about Ash, you're talking about Blade, probably talking about Mara if you're paying attention, but you have to also talk about Saw. And especially Saw doing what we just gave Jamin Dastan a load of credit for, building teams back up, developing players, making things work. He's been outstanding. This is a roster that probably is more than they're willing to admit in a developmental phase where they've got young stars who haven't quite figured out how to get the most out of themselves. You had an IGL who did make a lot of sense, and now you're moving on to a player who's going to be a fresh IGL. Like, he's called some CT sides, but he's not really been an IGL in the traditional sense. There's a lot of work that needs to be done by the coach, and yeah, brilliant decision to bring in this one. Some Pious also brings some stability to the AWP position. Those 2 moves by themselves could have gotten the grade. that I'm giving this. Like, this is an A+. Like, just those two move, A+. Then we have the rumored addition of Mattis, who goes from being basically the hardcore bitch entry, just every opening, every entry path, almost without fail on Fnatic, to being potentially either, depends on who takes what role, but as was correctly pointed out, and was kind of his job in Sampi, sort of either hard, like this sort of half lurk. Mattis is an extra weapon. So if you bring in a guy who's that sharp, that explosive, and add him on top of what you already have, my lord in heaven, they have smashed it. It'll take some development, it'll take some work, but they're a young team at that point, and they will be banging heads. They'll have that one veteran presence in Hunter who's been to the major finals, who's been actually a fragger in major finals, who's done, a lot of great work in massive events, who's won a bunch of titles. Hunter plus just raw talent, an amazing coach. It won't be good immediately, and this A+ might look stupid for about 3 months. But at the end of the year, watch this team upset almost everyone and rip through a bunch of wins. And now, obviously, I said I'd be more inclined to make that sort of Shuhei move instead of Hunter, if I could just, in some dream world, force a move to happen. But as it stands, getting rid of anchor after anchor in terms of dragging your team down, the coach position, the IGL position, and bringing in just talent after talent. Sure, you're expecting to win off firepower more than you are anything else, but that's an entirely valid way of winning, and I think G2 are probably going to do it.
Yeah, this looks really solid. I'm actually quite... I have nothing to base this off, really. Would you say... Which side of G2's play would you say has been the weakest over the course of this roster?
Well, I know statistically it's their CT side.
So the CT side is weaker?
Statistically it is, yeah.
All right.
I think that's also...
Yeah.
I think it's also kind of true. It just has been weaker because they've lacked... They've basically been trying to make things hodgepodge work between AWPers that are stand-ins / shit. They've had problems with Malbs MD and like figuring out how to best use him actively, because he's just been rawged opening attempts on CT side, and like it's very boom or bust. Plus, certain bomb sites have been like Hunter snacks, like fucking disgusting. Like, yeah, they've had some real weakness on CT side.
Yep. Yeah, that's the one that Hunter and Monacy this is what I felt really weird. Hunter and Monacy have been calling, apparently, according to reports, rather than Smacks. But I actually do feel like Hunter could be good here because they have, like, he has revealed that he has been asked many times by G2 to take over leadership on this team. And that's, like, I think he said before this, it's been 4 times where G2 have said, Hunter, can you please take the IGL role? Like, please.
I'm not surprised.
That feels like that's over a number, like, I'm assuming that's over a number of different coaches, a number of different other in-game leaders, and, Nico, Monacy, like, this might be natural, but, like, we might not know it, but this might be very natural to him. So for that, I'm actually kind of optimistic. Removal of Snacks and Taz, I feel like that's just them getting their head out of their ass. And I feel like this is a pretty good recovery to losing Nico and Monacy, because that's where you are, and you have to do something like this. You're going for star players. And you're never going to match, you're never going to match Sunpias and you're never going to match Monacy and Nico with Sunpias, Heavy God, Mobs, and Mattis, like, pound for pound. But as a whole, this could be really good. So I'm
one for one, but via agglomeration.
Yes.
Accumulation of talent, like just the grouping of talent. You could eventually have enough firepower to match them. Plus, the window's always open for these guys to develop. Nico wasn't Nico on Mouse Sports, not the one we know. Not just because the Counter-Strike, but also off the server. But yes, things develop, things change. Players get better. Players can add facets to their game, especially as they gain wisdom. Malbs MD has shown that before. I'm sure he can keep on doing it. Again, not saying he should try to be Nico, but he can just become a better version of himself, as can everyone else in this team who's very young. So I think this is a brilliant way to do things. It's going to be interesting to see how they play initially, because I feel like they're going to start off in a bit of chaos. Like, it's just going to be chaos for the first sort of couple of events. They're going to win like random Deagle rounds, but at the same time just lose 5-on-3s with surprising consistency just because they refuse to sit still or take dumb fights. It's going to be an issue for them. But for now, very exciting.
Yep, very good. Did we have a question for this one?
So yes, and we've essentially addressed it. So the question is, how would we think so it's from Dosbik, and how do we think G2 could function if they did make that move? Let me just find the exact phrasing so I'm not misquoting.
Yeah.
Would signing Mattis be a big upgrade for G2? And where do you see them competing if they get him?
Firepower. Yeah, it's firepower upgrade. But it also feels a lot more... Yeah, it also feels a lot more sound than... There's no huge bottom out here. Like, I don't think Hunter is going to be averaging 0.90. I think he's going to be somewhere in, like, a slightly respectable range. He's probably going to tank, and he's not that good to begin with. But, like, as you said, he can frag. He has fragged in these high-pressure games, and he's really good.
He does kind of get better with time in a tournament as well. That's always something we've said about Hunter. Like, as the event goes on, he gets better. As the pressure builds, the stage gets bigger, the lights get brighter. Technically, Hunter, seems to hold up pretty well historically. So that's something we can always say in his favor.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting question actually in chat. If it's not Mattis, who? I mean, so would you like to see who be realistic? Very different questions, but we can try and address both. I'll let you lead off.
This is the good place to mention that the original report was that Casper's guy were on top of their shortlist, but apparently negotiations with ENCE broke down. I don't know if this means they ended up testing him and not wanting him, or if ENCE didn't want to sell him. I don't know if they even can do that, like if they even have the facilities for that. But I'm not sure. I feel like you'd pick pieces from a little bit here and there. For some reason, my mind first went to Navi. Like, if there's a Navi player who might be getting cut later, we'll talk about it, who could find a new home on G2. I don't know why my mind went there, but...
Yeah, I mean, look, a player like... I'm just going to say it. If you can get JL in those spots, and the roles fit more naturally by themselves, he's got great charisma, great fourth sort of player, who can fill roles in a variety of manners, bring up the energy. Yeah, that could be a great move, honestly. And it both feels realistic and probably decent.
We're looking for a bit of an opener, right? We're looking for a bit of an opener, a bit of an anchor.
Not necessarily. Like, it's more of a...
Maybe not an anchor.
We don't need him to do anything. We need him to just fill in a variety of roles, like across different places, because Heavy God has been more aggressive, also is technically better trading and closing, so you don't necessarily need that helped out. You've already got Hunter on the lurk side, but if you want to bring in JL, you could push Hunter forward. You could push Heavy God forward. Hell, you could push JL forward. Like, he can do a bit of everything. So I think it'd be a multi-tool sort of option depending on what feels more comfortable when you actually play.
I'm thinking you could absolutely go for PR. I'm thinking G2 could have also gone for Adam B. I do feel like Adam B is a huge commodity being free. Like, I cannot imagine that.
Yeah, Adam B on a free is a crazy move. That needs to happen.
He's free. I cannot imagine that he's going to be without a team after in the shuffle. And I feel like he's going to move upwards. I don't feel like he's going to go downwards. So, yeah. I feel like, I don't know. This is rating-based scouting, but Grim is kind of fun. Grim could be a little bit of a fun
I mean, if you've watched Grim play, it's obviously not rating scouting, is it? Like, he's been
of course,
pretty fucking good for Complexity. And Complexity are in a weird spot right now. You could maybe weasel him away. Again, if things break down with Casper Sky and ENCE, it's either you test him and you didn't like him, or you couldn't afford what ENCE wanted you to pay.
Yeah.
Which is... struggle to imagine the Cole want less for Grim,
Yeah. I'll say, like, this was something I said over the last shuffle G2 had as well. Shush should be on G2, and he's just showed it even more this season. Excellent role. Like, excellent in both more impactful positions. He's shown that this year with NIP. Yeah. And excellent in more, like, if you need him to do more supportive positions, which is what he's done most of his career in Heroic. So I'd want to see. I think Shush is the guy I'd want to see.
Yeah, Shush would be great. I actually really like that idea as well. Very unrealistic, but it'd be great. It does allow you to have a massive, just star version of Heavy God. Like, because if you're bringing Shush in to fill in all the roles you don't necessarily want Heavy God doing, Heavy God can just go out and frag. So yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. And of course, can't mention NIP without saying shout out Snappy, did it. He fucking did it. Took a team from nothing and actually brought them to VRS invite range. So,
yeah.
Clap, clap, clap. Very impressed.
Clap.
But all right.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
That should be it. He has managed to get to Cologne Stage 1, so yeah. We applaud that. Yeah. Up next. A roster move that kind of surprised everyone, but realistically made a lot of sense overall. Virtus Pro benching Perfecto and adding... Oh, sorry, benching Flammus and adding Perfecto. My lord. I just get more coherent as the show goes on, don't I? Right. This is kind of a banger. Unfortunately. Because the roles on this team have not made a lot of sense for a while. They never do. In these sorts of teams, it seems. And you're bringing in a true support for a player who was playing aggressive roles and playing almost star positions, mostly, and just struggling. I kind of dig it. I gotta say, I can't hate it. It's only a B+ because it's still Virtus Pro, and it's still kind of a mess in that team. And Perfecto's been so out of the game for so long and playing in such weird rosters that it's kind of hard to judge just how good he's going to be if he can still have that same presence, that same sort of like ability to be a valuable support. But we've got to give him credit for trying. We do kind of have to give him credit for trying. This is a move that felt needed in terms of cutting someone, and Flams especially, given his absolutely tanked rating, it just made sense. But Perfecto as the player to come in, bit of a shock, but pretty cool.
Yeah. If you want to trust Overdrive here, then this move effectively saved the VP lineup from disbanding. There was original rumors that both Flit and Fame wanted to leave, and I can't remember where they were looking at going. I would assume it was BetBoom. But that was an original rumor. Supposedly Perfecto joining was what made them want to stay. So that's good. If you want to believe that, then yeah. I'm not sure what I think about the Perfecto move itself. I feel like it's a bit too late. I don't see like beyond. It must be a question of money, because why didn't this move happen when Electronic moved from Cloud9 and Perfecto was also there? So that's, yeah. I think he was free now. I think, yeah, Perfecto definitely, he left Cloud9 early in the spring. So this is why this move happened. It was Perry, yeah. Flit and Fame wanted to go to Parivision, which is a very painting Jame in a very good light. But yeah, Perfecto ended up here. As for Flamus, I feel like he did his best. It did feel super weird. It did feel weird to me that he was going to be on this team to begin with. It didn't really feel like over the winter. I remember we did. I felt that this didn't really fit him. I felt like this was going to be sort of the counterweight to what he is as a player. It felt like VP didn't really fit him. I don't know if that's what happened. He hasn't played that well. He's, again, yeah, that's tough positions. But as for his prospects, I heard somebody say that like VP aren't asking that much for him. Like he's on a long contract. He's benched until 2029 if he stays on this contract.
Yeah, I saw that, and I hovered his contract because it was available on his page, and I was like, that is so grim.
Yep.
Why would you sign that, Flammus? Like, there's no one like think ever.
Yeah. So that's, yeah. But supposedly VP aren't going to ask that much for him. I hope he doesn't get norbed, but as in norberted. But he's somebody's probably going to pay for him. I feel like he as much as the VP stint wasn't that good, it was also brief enough where I feel like people are still going to remember his time on Gamer Legion, and people are still going to remember his time on Amiga. Again, we talk about Zwei. He replaced Flammus when he signed for Gamer Legion, if I recall correctly. So yeah, there's still, in recent memory, there's still good Flammus performances up there which are going to bump his stock, and somebody's probably going to pay for him. He would have been excellent for Parivision, I feel like, if for whatever reason AW wasn't coming in here. I don't know about the roles, but like we've said before, it doesn't really seem to matter that much when you have these young players being molded with Jame.
Yeah, Jame and Dastan roles, like everyone is a rifler who isn't me. That is their role.
Yeah. Yeah, so Yeah, go ahead. What? Yeah, it's gonna work out. It looks really grim, but it's gonna work out for Flamus, I believe. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the VP. I don't feel like this moves the needle too much on where I have them. I have them somewhere in like the top 15, top 20. And they played well at the major. It was very strange that they did because they played, like you said on the show, they haven't changed their game whatsoever. And yet suddenly it's paying dividends like during the major. So
sometimes
maybe,
motherfuckers just hit shots, you know? Like, some, they just walk out, just hit shots. You're like, all right, cool, they hit shots. Were they a good team? No. No.
And it does. I don't feel like this changes the team enough where they're going to be a good team. So let's see what happens. Maybe Electronic has an epiphany in terms of leadership.
Yeah.
Or tactics or whatever. Maybe another coach change.
yeah. Just this time it'll work. This time when we change coach, it'll magically work. Yeah, fucking. Of course it will. All right, the final move we had a full graphic made for is one that we've already basically discussed. It's Wildcard. Might as well bring it up, like show it. There you go. Ta-da! The Wildcard grade is dreadful.
I wouldn't give it an F.
It's a D. It can't be an F for me because I'm like, you didn't completely destroy every single hope I had in this team. But you did remove two of the better pieces in my eyes. Look, you brought in a talented young player from your region and you promoted an academy player. Okay, cool. But you got worse. You got worse. You just objectively got worse. This is not a better roster. You cannot get better than a D. If you'd have paid massive buyouts and imported some crazy pieces to make this happen, you'd have got a worse grade, wildcard. But instead, you just get a D. Look, this is the kind of move that could work in theory and could work just to spite us in terms of Peeping actually being a legit talent, Friend having real numbers, because currently his numbers are stupid. Like, he's putting up a 1.2 rating in very low level play, whilst AWP IGLing. It feels very fake in terms of how it will translate to the next level, because very rarely does AWP IGL work at the top end. But it's the sort of thing that has that door open to it, I guess. But my prediction is it doesn't go very well. The Sonic replacement will not work either. Hell, maybe the Sonic replacement's Adam B or something ridiculous. And we end up in a really weird wildcard roster that just kind of flounders again. So, no, I'm not a big fan. You're obviously a massive hater. You hate the way this move talks, hate the way this move walks. You know, you are the biggest hater. So, yeah, here we are. Strange situation for wildcard to be in, I guess, forcing themselves into it. But again, it feels financial. I said that before. It just feels financial.
Yep, very much. Let's move on to the real Retake the Week transfers.
Yeah, we now move on to what I've labeled as, in my notes or my screen here, ROSTERMANIA miscellaneous, which at the timestamp will just say more roster moves.
Yep.
Because that's basically what it is. Yeah, let's get into the ROSTERMANIA miscellaneous. A bunch of confirmed moves just listed around me. It looks like wank. It took me 15 minutes. I apologize. But as you can tell, not been in the condition to do a lot of hard work this weekend. And we begin with Eyeballers, removing Poi and Heap and adding Bob XD and Maxter. I feel sorry for Bob XD and Maxter. You may have had futures, but now you're playing on Eyeballers. Rest in peace. It's been fun.
Yep. So this move is Poi opted not to re-sign his contract, which was ending now after a year, and has instead gone to a different team. We'll talk. It's right here. You can see it right up here. And then Bob XD and Maxter. Bob XD was benched. I had a funny thing that a friend told me, and he asked me, who do you think was first making contact with Bob XD to Eyeballers? Do you think he was Bob's agent, or was it Eyeballers? And that's a joke because Bob XD is managed by JW, which feels like a huge conflict of interest. Like,
really?
Yeah, JW also manages Poi. Like, he manages a lot of players.
How is he a player manager, an IGL, and an AWPer? And also, more importantly, how's he shit at all three?
he owns. Actually, no, he kind of stepped down from. He still owns stake in Eyeballers, but he kind of stepped down from the managerial role. He's just a co-founder now. There's a different guy called Ake, who's the CEO. He used to be the CEO. Yeah. Anyway, it's. I think he has an agency. I don't know if he does any of the management, but like if you go on Bob XT's Twitter profile, you're going to see business inquiries, jw@wagency.org. That URL has no website, by the way. It's just a dead site. He just owns it for the email, I suppose. But that's the agency, W Agency, which I'm assuming stands for Wonder Child. If you go on Poise Twitter page, you're going to see the same thing. It says jw@wagency.org. I'm just going to check. Is Dex in that same boat? Dex CS. What's his name? Dex CS2. There we go. No, he has his own email. He's not represented. It's his own email. But yeah, there's a bunch of players who are in that boat for one reason or another. And yeah, anyway, that's just really funny to me. So yeah. Anyway, somehow Bob XT I think was benched from 9 first, and then he basically ended up on Eyeballers as the Poi replacement, which I feel like is pretty good for Eyeballers. Eyeballers have done pretty well in terms of the players they have now. Both of these names, like I think, as you said, if they had futures, they did have futures. I think Bob XT has been solid on 9, and I think Maxter is like a no-brainer. He was free, he was good, well regarded, once a tier 1 prospect basically. Took some inactivity, and yeah, that's the way it is now. Yeah, as for Heap from Maxter, yeah, I feel like it's an upgrade on paper.
It's just a tragic fucking carousel at Eyeballers, really. Like it's like demented and bloody, and like the sound is kind of like off tune, just like, you know, the little merry-go-round tune is just playing, but it's like off key and just slowly gets deeper, like lower in octave as the ride goes round and slowly crawls to a halt. That's Eyeballers right now. I hate everything about them. They need to disband and just curse, like get rid of the juju that has ruined the Swedish scene. It's Eyeballers. It's their fault. Next, Inner Circle. They technically removed more players than this, but it was a while ago. So goodbye, Stiko. In comes Key, K, Kai, Hades, Kyla, and Minio to basically try to reform some like throwback Polish
Paris
roster.
2023. Yep.
Yeah. I don't think the spark's there anymore. I don't think it'll work, but it's an idea.
I don't think they have huge prospects with this. I do like the concept. Like the concept is not the worst. Like you're running it back. I feel like if you did this a year ago, then yeah, when we had the Paris Major, a year fresh, and Krasnal was a playoff finisher, Key, Hades, Kyle, Arminio were still around, and 9 was a fine enough team at times. So like, yeah, I wouldn't have minded it. Now it's a bit out there. The VRS benefit is no longer there. You're gonna have to do the qualifier thing, I think, unless Kyle, RK, and Minio have been pugging it or something. But I'm pretty sure that they are nowhere on the VRS. Yeah. So I thought they were gonna pick up the Sinners core. I thought they were gonna do Stiko, Krasnal, and then Peppo, B-Stick, and I think Shock was the one who is still on Sinners.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, because that would have been VRS as well, but didn't end up happening. It's a fine enough team. We'll see how they do. I think they've already qualified for ESEA Advanced through the qualifier. So that's good, because I think Advanced is going to be ranked on the VRS this year. Pretty sure it wasn't last year, or previously this year rather, in the upcoming season, I mean. So that's good for them. A bunch of ranked series they can get there, especially in the playoffs, and maybe make their way into ECL. It's actually, did we even have an ECL season this year?
ECL?
ESL Challenger League.
I think so. Hang on.
I cannot remember seeing one. Yeah, okay, we did. Season 49. Bait 1. Yeah, there's definitely teams in here which this Inner Circle team should be better than. So yeah, good job, and hope they do well. But it does feel like it's a year too late to put together this team. unfortunately.
Yeah, not a great move. NIP Impact cut Ramsin and signed Zana. Bit of a weird one for me.
I saw people talk about this as if it was a device knock move.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would think Zana is that much better than Ramsin.
Like, Ramsin disappoints me a little bit, but I still think she's a decent talent. Though it is, I think I just have to say it is. I do think it's overall an upgrade. I'm just going to say it. I think overall it should be an upgrade. But yeah, not the biggest change. Just a strange little shift in that team. I think Zana, yeah, she's not quite the player she was like in the past when she was like stronger. Like, I think she was better on just when they were a keeper. I think like she was pretty. Strong.
Zana, okay, yeah,
Zana. So yeah, interesting. We'll see where Ramsin probably is going to get picked up by someone. She's not a bad player at all.
No.
So that is what it is.
So,
yeah, NIP Impact.
NIP Impact probably shaping up to be the best Impact team at the moment.
No.
Maybe behind Furia. Nah, I'm serious. Like,
yeah, I know you're serious, but it's you. So you are heavily invested in the Salulu. Let's put it that way.
I don't think
Naomi and the Kiara are
up there
that good. They're good, but I don't think they're that good. You're asking for a lot out of the twins, is what I'm saying.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the Valkyries, because that's one of the upcoming moves as well. But yeah.
Imperial cutting Che Jesus and Decenty, signing Sure and Cello.
Sure.
I feel bad for Che Jesus. Like, he came into this team, just got thrown into bitch roles, and then sucked, because of course he did. He got thrown into bitch roles when he started playing tier 1. No shit, it went terribly. Like, he went from being a star set up to a guy being executed on. Like, yeah, no wonder it went awfully. So the Cello signing probably is pretty good. Like, Cello's a decent player. Just not a great star at tier 1. Struggled to make sense in Furia, but I think he can play a role. And if that's what he's going to do on this team, I think we'll be happy with that. Now, he's actually already played 7 maps. I just brought up the team page. Like, he is actually already playing.
They started playing even before it was announced.
Yeah. The more interesting part of this is Sure. The Portuguese player, obviously, not actually Brazilian, and he has played an event with them already, which I was surprised to find out. Actually, I didn't think he'd made the move over yet, but that went terribly. But Sure was a player for me I didn't really have that great a grade on in general. Like, I remember when he got signed to Saw, we were kind of like iffy about it. He's been a sort of journeyman in Portugal for a while. Maybe he's more committed to the idea of being a role player, and that will be helpful for Imperial. Maybe, he can bring some expertise in terms of being a support against the EU meta. That might be helpful, but otherwise, I'm not really that big of a fan of the Sure move.
How do you feel about the Decenty removal?
At some point, someone's got to be a support player. That's always the problem. Good. That's always the problem with the Imperial roster. It was always like, oh, look, I've got like really talented pieces, and like these riflers can all carry a game potentially, but like, who's actually doing what? Like, that was my question. And yeah, so as much as I agree Decenty could have a decent game or two, just wasn't good enough, and it makes sense to try something else. I'm just not sure Sure was the guy.
I'm not. Yeah, like on the last roster with Che Jesus, Decenty had a 116 average, which I feel like is very good. He's way above No Way, and Vini's obviously not doing that much in that regard. And you're bringing in, well, effectively it's going to be Cello, who is the guy, maybe pound for pound for Decenty. I feel like that's weird.
Yeah, the problem is with the Decenty numbers. Have you looked at how they fare against real competition?
Yeah,
bro drops below 1.0 against top 30.
Okay, yeah, well,
No Way doesn't.
All right, I
like, that's the problem.
That'd be fine. Cello is probably fine move. Yeah,
it's just the Sure part of it that's the problem, really, for me. It's like, will that be a solution?
The way people in Portugal talk about Sure makes me believe in him, because they think he has always been a huge talent who was very much mismanaged by Saw, and like that's why it didn't really work out. But they think he's one of a like a group of very, very good players out of Portugal. I'm not sure I've seen it. I mean, he's fine. Like, it's.
I mean, I've never watched
like,
GTZ play, so or I haven't watched GTZ play in a very long time. So when he was on the team, I don't think I watched it. So like,
much like all of the Saw players, it's like, yeah, all of these guys are probably pretty good, but like, it's not going to move the needle. Like, you're going to have to show me something really special, and probably more importantly, somebody is going to have to manage this in such a good way where you end up showing that stuff. Like, maybe Ahil is ridiculously good. Like, maybe Ahil is like super talented, but I don't think you're going to unlock that with Muteris and Sidox. Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but like, that's where I feel like, somebody has to. It's not really up to Ahil to show me that he has the tier 1 potential. It's more so up to the team at this point. If you play on Saw,
yeah, maybe, but at the same time, POVs exist.
Yeah, they do. But like,
there's just nothing jumps out.
Yep. Anyway.
Okay.
Yep.
NRG cut Hexed and OC, add Exotic and Nosrak, aka Carson.
This one is still reported, but yeah.
Yeah, just I guess Hexed and OC got bought out, because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? This is a clear downgrade.
OC, I'm not sure, because I haven't heard anything about him. Hexed was reported to be moving to M80 instead of Rec.
Yeah, that's the next move.
Yeah. that could very much be a buyout situation, but he's gone. OC, again, this is still just reported. It hasn't actually happened. I have no fucking idea what's going on there. But as for Exotic, the thing with Exotic, do you know the name Exotic? Because this has caused a big stir.
I mean, I know the name.
Yeah, okay. He is a notorious, as I've heard it described, weird guy who was actually banned by ESEA for dodging a LAN tournament. Like, he's basically never played on LAN because he keeps dodging LANs. But he basically got I'm assuming it's something like you have to. This was in 2017 or 2018. So I'm assuming it's something like if you're supposed to attend and you don't, then you pay a penalty or something. But he actually got a ban from it. And in order to avoid it, he borrowed another guy's account called Viking and basically played from that account in 2020. So like, it's a very weird situation. He's been playing with Getting Info now, which was, I think that's a roster that was previously with Nouns. They just they played on the Nouns tag, but it's such an NA mess that they never got announced. He's played a lot of maps, but over the past 3 years, he's played 48, which is insane. But like, that's why this is such an insane move. He's played 14 in 2025, nothing in 24, 8 in 23, and 26 in 22.
That's really strange.
And the rest has been, 21 he played a lot, and like, he was really active. I remember the name from then. And 2020 he played a decent bit as well, obviously with a different identity in that case, because it wasn't just like he played under a fake name and everything. It's super weird. But it caused a big stir because they're like, how the fuck is Exotic getting signed by a team with tier 1 aspirations after playing 14 maps in 25? But
yeah, it's a strange one
as well.
It's really strange.
Yeah, super weird.
Well, hey, if you're NRG and you're only using HLTV stats as your filter to get a player, he looks pretty good because his 2025 numbers are insane.
I don't think OC has been reported anywhere, but it has just occurred to me that if Liquid want to stay on the NA ranking, then OC might be their best prospect to bring him back.
Lord, anyway. Let's step away from that misery. MAT, the other half of this, to cut Rec and bring in Hexed, which, given how things have gone recently, might not be the worst idea. Might not be the worst idea. I mean, it feels harsh, but it might not be the worst idea. Now, he's not going to play the same sort of hyper-aggressive style we've seen from him in the past. Like, he's been like a very aggressive opening entry guy. But he's also filled in other roles in terms of being more a pack rifler. And so I think this could work. Like, as far as a role situation, because MAT just needs someone who's good. They just need a good player. And Hex, I think, is a very good player. I think it's underrated. So this is a fine move for me.
Very solid move. I don't have any other comments. Hex is talented. M80. Rek is fine, but it's like Hex, there's an upgrade. And that's going to be probably making M80 incrementally better, which is... We'll see where they end up.
Yeah, I mean, his land stats this year, Rek, have been awful. I mean, everyone's stats are pretty bad, but Rek's are pretty much the worst of the bunch. So, yeah, it's a needed move.
Needed move. I do wonder why, if this is I do wonder why NRG have opted for Carson over. I don't know.
Let's not talk about that mess. It doesn't make any sense. Okay.
All right. Anyway, yeah.
9 are replacing Bob XD with Sejot.
Yeah, and again, I don't know which order this move came in. If it was benching to be signed to be replaced by Sejot, or if eyeballers bought him out and then Sejot is the replacement. But one way around, this has happened.
Sejot's pretty good. We've seen that time and time again. Like, he proves it every now and then that he's actually a pretty good player. Just quite often ends up playing roles. Look, I don't have much faith in 9 to be a whole lot of anything, but this is the right kind of move to make. So cool. Nice try.
9 just had a big sponsor come in. They have a betting sponsor now who I think has injected a bit of money. I don't know if Sejot had a buyout to speak of. I don't know if he was still on a Saw contract. Yeah, no, he wasn't. He was a free agent. So for that, I don't, But like they have another issue, which is that Mantu is injured. He's got like titanium. He broke his arm, and he's got like he showed the X-ray. He's got a big titanium thing in his elbow now, and that's why Mantu is out.
How did he injure himself?
I don't think he said. Maybe he did, and I missed it. But I'm assuming it was something like a biking accident or something. It's almost always the case. Yeah, he's a free agent. He's no longer with 9. He's basically rehabilitating, and at some point he wants to be back in Tier 1. But that basically means the 9 are not finished. They need an upper. They've been playing with Modo, who is on OG's bench. They've been,
We'll Modo in an emergency is not the worst thing, but yeah, they could do better if they have some money.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't think he said what it was for. He broke his arm.
With that kind of injury, probably a car crash, let's be real. Like, I don't see how you can do it doing much else.
Well, mountain biking could also maybe. Yeah, like if you're biking injuries can be quite bad. And people, it's a form of exercise that a lot of athletes use. And like,
usually not falling down mountains, but some people do,
Yeah, we've had this in Formula 1 notoriously. Lance Stroll is actually still suffering occasionally from a hand injury from a bicycle accident like years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, it can happen. Anyway, that's their bigger issue. I think Sejot is a fine replacement for Bob XD. Even if Bob XD stayed, I feel like in the sort of tougher roles he was playing as the sort of entry guy, as the sort of trying to be that guy for the team, he was doing fine. But he's obviously found a new home one way or another, and I'm assuming he's happy with that as well.
Yeah, Rare Atom. They made a great headline. I've got to give them this credit. Like, I'm seeing it thinking that is a banger. Somebody has been replaced with trash.
I think that's the only reason HLTV ever reported on this move.
I don't even know where trash came from. He was playing on E9 for like all of 2 months. Okay. And he's played 6 maps and has a 1.27 rating. This is the most random fucking move, as far as I'm aware.
The HLTV tweet advertising this article has 1.5 million views and 20,000 likes. And that's honestly what I think is the most notable part of this move. Rare Atom are not that good anymore. Somebody is, he was also, I guess, fine, but like he was not one of the better players on this team. He's more notable for being somebody who's been like a Chinese mainstay for a long time.
What a great name.
7 years he did with Tyloo as well. So, for that, I guess it's notable. Trash, he's played 6 maps and he's done really well so far. But like you say, he came sort of out of nowhere, and that's where we're at. Somebody's now nobody, but yeah.
Now I'm trying to remember. I'm convinced this happened, and it's not a fever dream. But there was one of the greatest games ever to have commentated or have heard commentated. Is somebody played against Cloud9 with nothing. Which was, absolutely fantastic, obviously.
Somebody finds nothing.
No, somebody taken out by nothing, killed by nothing. Nothing takes down somebody.
Somebody's looking for a lurk, but he's gonna find nothing.
Yeah, that kind of ridiculous shit.
Uh,
Hang on. Why can't I not
It's
find nothing? Jordan.
Nothing is definitely in.
There he is.
In here. That's gotta be.
Add to context. I'm trying to find the match if it actually happened. Add to context. Somebody.
When did nothing stop with Cloud9? Like
Okay.
2017.
Cloud9.
I've actually played Cloud9 quite a lot now.
Oh, there's 1,500 pages of this, right? Opponents. Let's go back to like 2015.
No, okay, hang on. I have all the somebody versus nothing games here. There's like 6.
So that's happened.
It has happened. Yeah, okay. Somebody versus I am ESL Cologne 2017 on Cobblestone. nothing. Top fragged against Tyloo.
Yeah, okay. I found some examples. Yeah, okay. It definitely has happened. I'm not just imagining.
E-League Major main qualifier as well happened on Mirage. Dust 2 as well. I buy Power Masters 2016. Cologne 2016 as well. Nothing was here, and somebody. It's happened at least. Yeah, it's happened 4 times. 4 times we've had HLTV games with Cloud9 versus versus Tyloo. All right.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, Alliance cutting Pleasant and signing Poi. Poi, the record boy.
Yep.
Coming in to try and revive his career after being in purgatory on Eyeballers.
Yep. They've already played 2 matches. They won both of them. Poi was very consistent in all of them. 1.10-ish, 1.11-ish.
Oh, and they're now playing Ruby as well. Okay.
Yeah, they're playing at the moment. Poison Fine, he's decided to join this team. That's why he didn't re-sign the contract. I feel like it's a good move, but Alliance are very puggy. There's not the players are quite talented, but there's not a lot of tactical depth in this team, which might be a benefit to Poi. Honestly, I feel like he might need, like, even if it's just for a season. I do feel like I do feel like this is a might be a good place for him. Even if it's just a season, it might be good to just have like a team where he's fucking around for a bit at this stage in his career. Because I feel like he kind of skipped that stage. He went from playing open to playing on Eyeballers full time in a year. So for him to take a bit of time out, maybe it could be good. So I actually like this move for him. He's an upgrade on Pleasant. Pleasant is somebody who I think can be serviceable in the right contexts, but he wasn't doing too hot on Alliance, so they've definitely made the right move here as well. But that's about the long and the short of it. Yeah.
All right. So now we do have more half moves and rumors and etc. etc.
We're gonna have to be quick. Let's rattle these off.
Yeah, we do have a bit more stuff just lying around. Right. So,
yeah.
Oh my God, the notes are all over the shop. Right. Reported FlyQuest target JKS buyout. So that would
just
be
this
an
morning. This came in.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting move. Would be an upgrade. Leah's been shit, and JKS last we saw him was actually all right. So I do like this.
Very good. Do you want to give it a grade?
B+.
Yeah, I think this is a move I think I've mentioned on the show that I wanted to happen, and now it's happening apparently. Assuming FlyQuest can pay for him, which I think they can. I think they're quite wealthy. Yeah, okay, good job. Reported. OG are going to cut Buzz. No replacement reported.
Yeah, not so sure about this one. He's been all right. I think he's been all right on this team. Maybe they'll bring in a full-time AWPer. Who knows? Yeah, no grade. It's half a move. I don't really care.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. We'll see what happens. Navi have promoted Makaze, but it's still unknown who is going to get removed.
Yeah, this could change a lot of things. Who gets removed? I think cutting JL is not a good idea because I like JL on this team. It's been one of the few players I can have positive things to say about. Immer, I'd like more. If it's not one of those two, I'm genuinely perplexed. The fact that there's only one player coming up from the academy shows a certain level of, I guess, delusion from Blade, because, my lord, Mikaze's great, but I'm not sure a one-for-one swap with him and one of your players is going to get the best out of him, let alone the team. So I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, we don't know if this is the only move Navi are making. They could get a player from outside.
We've seen in terms of just promotions, this is the only one.
Yeah. Exactly. Actually, but yeah, we have a couple of just for context. Here's how I feel like this could shake out. So Wonderful is obviously safe from this particular move, and I don't think Bit for Mikaze is the roles are way too mismatched for that to really be the case. The way I see it is, it could be JL, and it could be a bit of a reshuffling in how they play this game. But it's to me, it's either Imme or Alexi B. And the way the rationale I have here is that he fits better for Imme's role straight up. He could also work as an Alexi B replacement, and Imme takes the in-game leadership. Or there's another move, and the one I'm thinking about then is NPL is still on loan to Bait. They could recall NPL, and maybe it's a double move. Maybe it's Imme and Alexi B go out for Mikaze and NPL. Maybe it is JL who's going, or maybe it is Bit who's going, and Alexi B goes and it's NPL. Maybe NPL comes back, not in a leadership. Like, there's a lot of NPL is still a Navi player. There's a lot of things I feel like NPL could work into this. So, or it is Mikaze, like Mikaze comes in and he gets put in shit anchor positions, and maybe it is for Bit, and like he gets played completely out of position, because let's not forget, Navi have promoted players and played them out of position before. NPL, like this, it's yeah. So there was a rumor that NPL turned down Navi. That's correct. I'm not sure I believe it. A lot of things could happen. So could also be another move. There's a lot of Ukrainian players who are really good at the moment, which I would imagine Navi are definitely looking at. Like there's several Ukrainian teams who are very good at the moment beyond just Bait. Like Passion UA, I could even think maybe a TNL player could be like an outside chance, and Navi take a chance on him. I don't think so, but maybe an outside. Passion UA, you're looking at somebody like Demke or Kvem. Maybe a Jacasmo could definitely be interesting for Navi. So I feel like this could be a double move if I'm speculating. But for Mikaze, I feel like it's got to be Imme or Alexi B for this move to make sense.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, FaZe are rumored not to continue with Simple. Also speaking of Navi, this is supposedly that FaZe cannot pay.
Simple's basically just been spouting his fucking mouth about this, just like, yeah, FaZe no buy me, blah blah blah. Like, he's just been endlessly talking about it.
Yeah,
pretty much known.
FaZe cannot pay for Simple. That's the long and the short of it. And the rumor is they're putting Brokey back. I assume there's some other options, like they could buy another guy. I've also heard that Simple might just have a couple of months left on his contract, so I'm sort of thinking
putting him back to wait. Just like,
put Brokey back and then literally do the same thing. Like after the roster deadline for the Budapest Major, they put Simple in for Brokey, and they do. Like, could absolutely do that. Feels a bit unfair to Brokey, and it's going to ruin their season. But that's the way it's looking at the moment. So let's see what happens there. But yeah, meh. Contract jail. Fury have confirmed Yakindar as a full signing.
Wow.
And the thing I heard about this move, like the thing I read somewhere on HLTV, is that apparently Yakindar attracted some interest from other teams. And the reason why Furia might not do this is because Yakindar would be bought by somebody else.
Right, which would be interesting, because he did, he had a pretty good showing with Furia. That was something we give him a lot of credit for. Like, oh crap, this is a good level from Yakindar. Even after we got past the like day one peak, which he always has when on a new team, like, he actually did maintain a solid level of output. And the team wasn't imploding around his like need to have ideas. So it was pretty cool. So the full-time signing is, again, dope. I'm happy with this. This is a Furia roster I can keep following and keep enjoying. So, yeah. I mean, actually, to be fair, his second two events are better than his first two events with Furia by a long shot. So, to be honest, super worth keeping him.
Over his... over the two major stages he played, he had a 126 average. It's huge.
Pretty
He's
nuts.
the best player on the team. Yeah.
So yeah.
So
no, I approve.
Excellent. Now we're getting into a funny rumor. Medisport are interested, or as he said, are interesting in Shalfie and Norbert. And I can actually add some context here.
What?
I think they are looking at going international, and Shalfie and Norbert are. This is what I think. Shalfie and Norbert are two of the options on the shortlist, and I'm assuming they would be the only Russian options on the shortlist, which is why Harumi knows about it.
I hate this.
I'm assuming there's other players as well, but they are on the list. Medisport, as far as I think, and the things I hear, are still quite far away from confirming a roster. Like they still have a very broad, like a broad playing field. I think there's way more than 2 players who are potentially joining Medisport at the moment. Is the way it looks to me, which is a bit slow. To me, I feel like, to speak candidly about Medisport, I feel like they've missed the chance on so many good players at this point. Because I'll remind you, they had Youngster, they had Adam B, they had Nilo, they had Susp, they had ZTR, they wanted to get LNZ, but Sankel got there first. They didn't even think about getting Fuzi, and now they can't because they can't replace their opera at the moment. There's a lot of Swedish good talent. They just haven't gone. They missed the train on Poi. I don't know if they wanted Poi at this moment, but they missed him.
He's really only good. There's no way they'd want to sign him now. Like, it's too late for them to be wanting to sign Poi. They stopped wanting to sign good players about a year ago, roughly.
Yeah. But like they had the chance now, and they didn't take it. So for me, I feel like they have to go for, if they want to stay Swedish, they have to go for Male 09 is like a top candidate, and I'm not sure if that's even on the table. There's a buyout. I'm not sure if he even wants to go. Like maybe he's comfortable enough at this stage in his career to keep playing with his mates and Johnny Speeds basically, before making this huge high pressure step up into Medisport with a much bigger salary range, much bigger pressure, and much more seriousness. But there's also other, like, I feel like you have to sort of gamble on a talent here. I feel like you have to gamble on mines. Like, if you want to stay Swedish, if you can't get Male 09, you have to look at mines, and that's so I think they're going international. Yeah, I wonder. I don't think he fits really, but yeah, sure. But like,
no one ever has on this Metasport roster. Like, they started off
that's true.
They started the project with like kind of booky roles, but creating new metas in terms of how Susp was used, into shitting the bed in a massive like diarrheal explosion, and just signing anything with a Swedish flag attached to it. And it's just been a horrible nightmare that I've never woken up from.
Maxter could have been super realistic as well. He played with the Young Ninjas gang. Like, he played with Adam B. He played with Isaac as well on NAP. He played with Abdi. That's what I mean. But they didn't take him. He was free, and they didn't take him. Boy was free. They didn't take him. So like, I think they go international. And if that's where they end up, I wouldn't want them to have Shalfie and Norbert. I'd probably want them to have Zyphon, honestly. Zyphon for an Adam B replacement is great, I think. And leadership, Bird from Sky. Let's just do it. Finally, somebody does it.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he still has to play with Lumen, but
yeah,
and I'm still not a big Isak guy. Still not been proven wrong about that guy. Still waiting for this god tier Isak, dream support, maker of kings to appear. But yeah, more importantly, Lumen's just not that good. Still don't get that move.
Yep, let's see. That's the long and the short of it. I don't know what's happening there. It sounds like it's gonna take a while, and I don't know what they even have next. Like, Medisport usually play with a pretty sparse calendar. They don't play a lot of the local play stuff unless it has like big lands attached to it. They're playing they have a playoff invite for the Exort the Proving Grounds thing, and the playoffs of that actually start soon. Jesus. Okay, yeah, they're gonna have to play with something in 2 days. So hopefully something is confirmed by then. But I have once again put myself on the line and to try to say that Harumi is wrong. So let's see what happens. All right, yep, that's the move. Imperial Valkyries have cut Zaz. No replacement has been mentioned, so no grade.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird position. Who was Zaz calling on this team?
No, it was Tori,
right?
Or is
Tori? Okay, that was it. I remember having this conversation before.
Yeah, Zaz replaced Vilga, so that's why. But Tori took over. Yeah.
I'm not really that worried. They'll find a player who's willing to. Oh no, I have to play with the most dominant team in women's CS over the last decade. Oh,
Yep.
7 horrors. Yeah, no, they'll find a player. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but they'll find a player.
Yep, that's not much more about that. I do think their place on the throne is definitely threatened. And with a roster move, there's always the risk that it just doesn't work out. I think arguably, ZAS maybe didn't even make this team that much better because they were already so good with Vilga. But I think you could argue there's a slight downturn over the ZAS stint with the Vilga stint beyond just losing to Furia. But like in general level of play, I did feel like maybe it wasn't always that good. But yeah, anyway, there's always a risk that something happens here, and let's see what happens. They're going to find somebody, of course. Navi Junior, the rest of Navi Junior are actually transfer listed. They keep on playing with Navi at the moment, I think. I think they still might have some tournaments to keep playing in. But Navi have made it clear that this team is up for grabs, and you can buy them. And they're actually high enough on the VRS where they would get a major invite.
Yeah, they're pretty 27th on VRS. And look, they just lost their most like talented piece, I guess, in terms of current level. But Demon's pretty good. Crabany's a great fragging IGL that's worth taking a risk on. And then Simtry and Jigs have just been fine, you know? They've just been fine. Time and time again. And you have a pretty decent opportunity to, like, say if you want to go grab just an aggressive rifler, there's some riflers lying around right now who can put up numbers. Like, you could go get an Andu. He could fit fine. Like, it wouldn't be a perfect Makaze replacement, but it's not that hard to find a player who could play the roles, put up good numbers, and be happy with the Makaze roles especially. So it's a pretty slam dunk team to pick up if you do want to enter the scene with some decent placement.
If you're a TSM or a Cloud9 and you are at Envy, as has been reported, and apparently that fucking Valorant org, was it Sentinels or whatever? Like, if you want to enter CS properly, then you can buy this team and add Andu, or you can buy this team and add somebody else, and it's you're buying a major spot effectively. So good job. Yeah, this is a report. MIBR are adding Nyx, and this would be for a player who it would be for Lukauzi, I think.
It's just weird Brazilian shit.
Yeah, let's not even talk about it. I'm actually not even 100% sure if it's Nyx or if it's Nyx with a 1. I'm not even sure which one they're signing. Are they signing the 19-year-old from Fluxo or the 20-year-old from Sharks? I have no idea. I think it's the 19-year-old from Fluxo because he actually has good numbers.
I don't really know what's going on. I don't really watch that level of Brazilian CS, so I can't add much. I mean, Nyx from Sharks is an AWPer, so I don't think it's him.
I think it's the 19-year-old from Fluxo. He only played a single series in the past 3 months, and that's why he has good stats. Because he played the final in the South American Challenger League, and he dropped a 143.
Yeah, so, stats on Fluxo are not spectacular. Let's put it that way.
Jesus Christ! No, yeah.
But look, they probably needed a role player, and if he was a role player on the Fluxo, maybe MIBR makes sense to have him come in. So, look, it could be all right actually. Not gonna lie.
Game's gone.
MIBR has just been a bit messy. Just letting Sani carry. Stop trying to make other things work.
BC Game have cut Knock and are down to 3. I don't think they haven't played in a good while. I don't think. The last play. Yeah, I don't think they signed. Satsanito was brought back from the bench, I think.
Yes, they've got 4 players now.
I don't know if
listed.
Yeah, I don't know if they properly brought him back. I think they just brought Satsanito back for Dallas when Jacob was gone, and then they or when they had visa issues, whatever was the case, and they he just kept going. But yeah, they're down. Yeah,
pretty dire.
This is ass.
They're just in a weird spot. Like, they've been screwed over by their own players twice. Yep. They just had an awful run of it.
Yeah,
doing what they can.
And I don't think. Yeah, so fuck that. Sinners have cut Morisco and Zedco, and they are left with 3 actually good players. I think they're left with Shock, Peppo, and Beastick.
Yeah, a GL who keeps making things work. A rifler in Shock who's just been consistently fine for them. Like, and even back when they had like Neofrag, like Shock was like the other decent rifler who could like, hit shots. And Peepo, yeah, he's got some consistency issues. He's had a low floor at times, but his ceiling's pretty good. He's not the magical Oscar replacement you hoped he'd be, but he's shown that potential. So they've still got a decent trio on the books.
Yep. Yeah. Solid. Not much more to talk about. Eco Warriors disband. Wow.
The women's team. Yeah.
Yes. Giuliano, D7, who we're going to talk about later. VN and Kyosa, Viku. And
there's some good players on there. Like D7, I think could have another play. Kyosa has to have a place on another team. Kyosa's kind of a monster.
Like, Kyosa and VN, I feel like, have to go somewhere. Yeah.
VN I'm not as interested, like not as invested in. But for me, Kyosa, especially when she was on Bigger Keeper and G2, monster numbers. Crazy fragger. Has to find another team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure VN was reported to be tested by Imperial Valkyries.
Actually, most of this team probably should have a spot. Like Viku.
Yeah, Viku's good.
Viku's a
Giuliano,
good
Giuliano is older, but she's absolutely by no means washed. And yeah, she's a very solid player. I think she was also calling on this team, but I might be wrong about that. But anyway, yeah, it's a bunch of great players up for grabs in a time when there actually are a little bit of impact shuffles.
Yeah. Someone signed these players.
Yeah, accidentally. What the fuck? Okay, anyway. Yeah, I only put this in because the name of the player was funny. Chinggis Warriors have added because cursed, and they've replaced their coach.
Yeah, this is I don't know. I don't know who any of these people are.
Cursed. BKZ cursed.
Yeah, don't know who these people are.
Yeah, Fireflux have cut Skrunk.
Yeah, a bit weird, but he's not exactly a fragger, is he? Like,
I'm slightly thinking that there were maybe some question marks around if Aurora would pick up Xfloud, and now that he's benched quite suddenly. But I'm honestly thinking that Xfloud might be of interest to this team.
Yeah, who's going to call?
They have.
It's the more important question.
Paz, I guess, has the most experience.
I guess.
Yeah. Maybe Dougie is a secret IGL prodigy. Anyway, yeah, no. Anyway, it happened. I put it in. Fireflux is a team we talk about quite often with Soulfly being there, so I put it in.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah. Mouse NXT have actually made a move. They have a coach again, and it's what's his name? LMBT. Previously of Mouse. They actually still have Xelex on a contract, so I'm assuming they're genuinely building a roster around Xelex at that point. But yeah, he is
trying to make something happen, but it's not exactly it's not a promising state to be signed in as a coach. Like, basically got a full rebuild.
Yeah. Most notably, Hellraisers, Mouse, and Monty coach, which are the teams he's won trophies with. Several with Mouse even. And yeah, this is solid. Obviously well enough regarded by the organization that they want to bring him back. And it was only last year that he won a trophy with Monty. So a smaller one, albeit, but still a trophy.
Very different prospect to having to rebuild a team of kids, but still, he's at least knows what he's talking about. Like,
still happy enough with him from his old Mouse days, where like, yeah, we can bring this guy back and he can coach a team. So let's see what comes out of this team. Been very quiet for a long time now. I'm not even sure Xelex had teammates when he stood in Katowice.
No, no, he didn't.
Damn.
He had some of them were still around. Yeah, like they had 3 players aside from him. You know, they had the what I called the silly kids show sound effects. They had Blick, Click, and Jorko.
Like, it sounds like the title of a kids show. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like, it was goofy name. Name combo really.
Yeah. B&E disband again, but they're actually going to play one more thing: The Last Dance. It's going to be the IESF European Championship, which is starting in 2 days. They are representing Kosovo, except instead of Rigon, it's Mikaze. They're going to win.
Big upgrade, but at the same time, still don't care.
Yeah. I'll just briefly talk about the championship here because we do not care about B&E disbanding. That championship is actually going to be kind of fun, but I have a like the Swedish team is kind of fucked because we originally had eyeballers. They won a qualifier to represent.
Oh, it's not the ISF, it's the EEF, right?
No, it is IESF. ISF /
It's the
Euro.
EEF, man. That's what's happening. July 9th, the EEF, European Championship.
Them as well, but it's partially organized by the International Esports Federation.
Great, but this is the EEF one. Like, just saying, like.
Yeah, but it's both. Like, they're both organizing it. They're cooperating. It's the same way the previous World Championship was organized by ESF and the Saudi Federation because they did it in Riyadh.
Yeah, but if you're looking for it, this is what matters. You need to look for EEF. If you start looking up ISF, you're going to find shit all. Look up EEF.
On Wikipedia, it's listed as ISF. Yeah, so that's how you
no one
found it.
uses that. We're not that dorky. Come on.
All right. Just briefly talking about this, the Swedish team is kind of fucked. We had eyeballers, who won a qualifier in order to do this, and what has happened afterwards is that Maxter apparently, after winning a qualifier to represent Sweden and then going through the closed qualifier to qualify for the main championship, and doing like a big press meet in the national team shirts, a week later they signed Maxter, and Maxter apparently has a quote-unquote planned holiday at this time, so he could not attend, and for that reason they are not going. And it basically fell to second place in the qualifier. I think that was Johnny Speeds. They are going to Philadelphia. They cannot go to Kosovo to do this. Third place team, Alliance. They are also doing something else, and they could not go to Kosovo to do this. Fourth place, Lil Mix. Have one player, and it's Quicks. So he called up all of his friends on very, very, very short notice, I'll tell you. And he put together Quicks, Beasover, HNS, Sabreeze, and Wonder, who are gonna attend this.
Get wrecked.
My God, I think they have Germany in the group, which is big, and I think big with Skrunk. Apparently, what the fuck? Wait, why are they playing Skrunk?
You also lied. Kosovo are not coming with Makaze. They're coming with Krabany.
Oh, they've changed. It was Makaze.
Liar.
Navi probably blocked him. It was definitely Makaze before, but yeah, all right. They have big in the group, and I'm just gonna say, I think it would be so funny if this random Lil Mix roster of like two of these guys are retired. I think so. It would be so funny if they beat Big, and then they just look up at the LAN setup, and Quicks is sitting there doing the fucking Kerrigan ambulance. Like Crimbo would phone up his agent to join G2 immediately. Like it would be the most funny thing. So that's why I'm going to be watching this event during this upcoming week. But yeah, I just use this spot to talk about it. It's a funny anecdote.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
It's an interesting event, but TNL going to win it.
I thought they were going to win when they had Makaze with Krabeni. Maybe not. TNL are probably going to win it. I think Big should win it, but we always say that.
No, they won't.
No, but like Big are playing at a level so far above literally every single other player in this event, like in terms of which events they attend, that they should win every single event like this they pull up to, but they don't, so they won't.
Yeah, when was the last time Big actually played a real event?
Not too long ago.
Everything I'm seeing in their match history is CCT, Dash Masters, Exhort the Proving Grounds. They're not winning any of them either. Galaxy Battle Phase 2, where they lose to Cybershock.
It was Astana the last time they played. Yeah.
How'd that go?
When was Astana? It was like April. Oh no, it didn't go well. But like they're here, and their aspiration is to be here.
Yeah, great. But... They're not gonna be good. Just not gonna be good. Yeah, this is TNL's to lose.
Yep.
I do kind of like the Denmark roster too, but still.
Yeah, it's the real Sashi roster as well, because we're gonna get to that. Patty is actually on that team now. But Wopa have dropped their roster and signed a weird other roster, is what I've written in the show notes. Because what the fuck? They dropped the roster which we know and love, or know, and it was Gnuffe, Vester, Slime, Prime, and Jorko, right? No, but like it was, I can't remember who the fifth was even, but it's Slime is the guy.
It was Leaks for a while, then it was Nixon.
Nixon, that's the guy. Yeah. The guys they have instead are Gaide, Skace, Skodo, Thamlike, and Zanto, coached by Boychild. My reactions as well, exactly. But they haven't been playing with them. They've been playing with Gnuffe still and Quest. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. So for the love of slime, what do you have? What do you got on this opinion?
It's shite.
All right. Yep. Anyway, Wildcard Academy. Wonder has left the Wildcard Academy. So he's now available, and somebody should sign him. Even if he didn't impress, somebody should sign him just to prove me right. No.
Right, I think I stopped sneezing and coughing. Oh, God.
Yep. Wonder is good. Wonder is talented. Wildcard Academy were doing jack shit, and I don't know if he didn't fit or if it just if he was just genuinely bad, but I'm cautiously wondering what he's gonna do now.
I don't know. I've heard his name a lot. He's played with Melo 9 on various teams. Those various teams being Young Gods and Godsent, because they got made the real team at one point. Yeah, I'm not crazy in love with this guy. Best of luck to him. He's still 17. He's got a lot of time to prove himself, to develop. So I'm not that bothered. Not that fussed if someone takes a risk at an academy level. He's just not obviously tier 1 ready.
Yeah, I feel like he could be like a Mouse NXT kind of player. Like he might be somebody they
he
might
could be
look
on
at.
that team. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think he's had interest there. I know for a fact the G2 Academy had a little bit of interest in him.
I mean, they're not in need of players right now, unfortunately.
No, and Falcons are going to make an academy team. We'll get to that.
So maybe he'll be on there. But yeah, currently there's no one you really desperately need to change on G2 Academy because they're actually pretty fucking good. Honestly, shout out Klim, shout out Tak, and shout out Nidoria. He has actually been okay so far.
DMS have dropped their women's team, and this is notable because they are good.
Pretty good. Yeah, they are pretty good. That's the team with Averona, right?
Averona, Jamie, Kitsuna, Sosia, and Ulis.
Yeah, no, it's a solid team. Now available, I guess. So if anyone wants to make... Okay, there's just a few women's teams you can make right now that are pretty strong. Yeah. Obviously, the scene really needs another set of events to play, maybe from Blast or someone. But for now, if you're just trying to compete in Impact, you've got some solid pieces available for an international mixed team.
For sure. Monty have released Hades. He's a free agent after returning from Stone's Battle. He's within your circle. I don't actually know why I put this in. I guess I forgot.
You just did. I mean, yeah, he wasn't that special on Monty, and he was pretty fucking horrible at G2 after the first event. Like, he had one blip and then just trash. He's just not up there anymore. He's just not got the same impact. He always seems to play better in Polish teams, so hopefully he can shine in Inner Circle as best as he can. But I just don't have I don't have any Hades stock, let's put it that way.
Big Academy exist again, and they feature Process, the oldest Academy player known to man. No, actually, his teammate is. He's 26. So
yeah, no, Process feels bad for the kid. But at the same time, he's just not been good enough. We'll see what comes out of this Academy system, but they've had pretty disappointing Academy runs. They've had pretty good Academy runs. It depends on very much what Germany can spit out. Yeah.
I'll tell you a couple of these players just so you note the names and you remember when you heard it first if they ever win a major. Kosovar player Sonic, 19 years old. Widow, German player, previously of Alternate Attacks, briefly. And Naze, 18-year-old Ukrainian player, played his first HLTV map ever for Big Academy just the other day. They lost. But
yeah, they've played one series as a roster. Process is 1.14 rated. Everyone else is sub 1.0. It's about as predictable as it comes. Because Process, when he plays an academy level play or tier 2 play, he's pretty strong. More tier 3 than anything. But yeah, he's pretty strong, and that's why he gets the chance sometimes to play with Big. And why he gets some people excited occasionally. But generally, this is a very long shot type project.
Yeah. He got the spot on the main team for a year, basically. And I think getting that spot was honestly deserved. Like, Big could have made better
moves. At the time, it made a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, at the time, he was good, and he was good enough to be on the big main team. Didn't really work out. And the way big teams usually work out, I'm not sure it was his fault. I think it's simultaneously everybody and nobody's fault that big teams don't work out at this point, because they never do. So, yeah, well done. Reason Gaming are back, and they have signed the Polish team, M1, previously accused of cheating by NS's assistant coach. And I almost put this as cock of the week when it happened. Because Jesus Christ, this is fucking oxygen over again. But dude. But everybody hates these guys. Another with Recent Gaming, and everybody hates Recent Gaming.
Yeah, Reason Gaming having not had a roster since 2023 when they were North American, playing ESL or ECL. Well, actually, no, technically no. Since then, they've had a roster in the UK. Never mind. I was just realizing that wasn't the Polish team. Yeah, no, this roster got accused of cheating. I watched the video and I was like, this is the kind of wishful thinking. This is a man who is trying to see cheating. Because even when he puts up things on screen to describe what's going on, it's not what's going on. It's a slightly warped version of what's actually happening. And it was a bit confusing watching those videos. And I was like, you're going to need a lot more than this to convince me of anything. So, yeah. That's all I can say about those accusations. I've not really watched a lot of them play overall because they've been at a relatively low level. When they did finally play Ents in that grand final, they lost 3-1.
As the Ents players would say, it was because they had cameras.
Oh, yeah, it's those cameras,
Yeah.
Give me a break. Just stop looking for cheaters.
Yeah. All right, Nexus have cut Raga, and I put this in because when somebody said this move, it was just after somebody mentioned this move, and it was just after the Mikase promotion. They said this is primed for adding back Imma, which I feel like is quite underselling him a bit, but funny.
I mean, Raga was horrible in this team.
Yeah, do you think like they have Sound, they have Lonix, they have Xello? Do you think there's something could be done about this Nexus team to make them good? They're around the 50 mark on the
we've had this conversation before, to be honest. If they can get Imma into this team, it's pretty good. Like as far as a tier 2 to tier 1.5 team, it's pretty good. And like we often have ragged on Imma, but not to the extent where we don't think he could have a place on this team, and where I don't think it'd be actually quite good. Like it'd be awkward as far as exact roles, I'm sure, but he's a vocal, relatively intelligent style of Counter-Strike player. This can work 100%.
I'll tell you, if Imma gets removed from Navi and he doesn't get any interest from proper tier 1 teams, going back to Nexus would not be the worst idea for him at this point.
I mean, because I'm looking at salary, etc., but still
competition wise, that's a path which I see okay, so that means Nexus are going to end up in qualifying to some PGL tier 1 event, and we're going to keep talking about them. And that might be another Saw story or an Apogee story, that kind of thing. Because I'm looking at these last two events, and they won in Galaxy Battle, they finished top 4. They won 5 straight games over TNL, Gun 5, most notably perhaps. And then the Exort series, they won 3 straight games. It's worse opposition, but you get that handled as Nexus because you're by far the best team here. So
yeah, you beat Eternal Fire comfortably. Oh, not comfortably.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a series.
Maybe.
But you beat Eternal Fire with Raga.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, I was going to check what
you
day
still had Raga and BTN on your team. Emor's still there. Jersey's still there. Calix still there.
Yeah.
M-Star looks
on bail.
It's the roster.
He is. I think he's legitimately out. He's waiing for a trial. But anyway,
yeah, they've had some real wins. So even with Raga, they've been a decent tier 2 side, and Raga's been bad. So bring in Imma, and I think you're a solid enough roster.
Could be fun. Rebels, the organization apparently owned by David De Gea, I found out this week. They've dropped their Polish roster, which I actually think is a little bit this. At times, this roster showed decent stuff, but the players who have been dropped are Flay, I picked him as a prospect once, Kisarek, Innocent, Sobol, and Kloku, coached by Spero.
And they're now playing under Kolesi.
Maybe they are.
They are. Yeah, Kisarek, Kloku, Flay, Sobol, and Innocent, coached by Spero. Kolesi, ranked 82 on the VRS. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's an AI generated logo.
Yeah, as fuck. But yeah, Rebels, it's probably them just leaving CS, if anything. I don't see why you'd drop this team.
I think it is. David Hay actually commented on it. He said, David Hea said, like, thank you so much. You made me fall in love with Counter-Strike or something like that. So it's actually pretty cool.
Nice. All right.
Yep.
Let's speed through.
Yeah. So we're almost done here. Saw's women's roster are actually the ones who have picked up D7 and Ada.
Oh, yeah. D7,
I
Ada,
like this.
Mariam, Lara, V.
Mariam, Lara, V have been around here for a bit. And Saw Mist is like, it's kind of like the real Saw, where they always hung outside the real range where you don't really care about them. But I still sort of like, they've been having this project going for like 2 years. So very nice.
This could be all right.
And this is a good injection of talent. Like Ada is previously of ENS she was on, Biggie Keeper, obviously.
Yeah, that Biggie Keeper was the peak of Iberian women's CS.
Yeah. And D7 was previously on Avi Javelins, before that on Guild, and before that also on Biggie Keeper. Very solid player. So this is a big injection in experience and talent. And this is something like before, they've played the qualifiers. They're one of those teams that always ended up like 1 or 2 games outside of the qualifying, like the qualifying range to the Impact League itself in the open qualifiers. Now is when I feel like, they're going to be in that group stage, I think. So, yeah, cool.
All right. Sashi dropped Kier. Oh, really?
Yes, Kier is gone after less than a month. Apparently, he's supposedly stepped away from professional Counter-Strike. Yeah, he retired.
Okay, 25.
Same.
I mean, yeah, he never really got it going, did he? He's an Astralis talent at 24, like, you know.
They have Patty now standing in for them, I think, and he's going to play the Kosovo, like the championship. Patty, I'm not going to say famously. I don't think a lot of people know about this story, but in Denmark, famously, he previously played for Sashi, and he got benched over a sandwich. And I don't recall the exact story, but basically, he said a lot of things about the owner of Sashi, who is it's the guy, he's like the son of a meat importer in Denmark. Like, it's a rich guy, and his son has a CS team. That's the way this works.
Can you not afford an artist to come up with better branding?
It's very, but Patty told a story about this. And yeah, it's I'll see if I can find it, because it's really funny, but it's something about like they were like, yo, we're gonna go out for lunch, and and the owner was like, yeah, sure. Then when he comes back with a sandwich, he's like, what the fuck? And he gets so mad at him for buying a sandwich that he benches him. Like, it's some crazy shit like that. I've told this story before. It's in one of the old episodes. But anyway, now he's back apparently. So I guess him and Dr. N have reconciled their differences.
Okay, I need to cough again.
Do it. Finally, Falcons Academy have signed NATO Safix as their coach. So the Falcons Academy is going to call something like Falcons Bibula Booba, something, whatever.
Bibula Booba, yes.
No, I don't know. It's probably Falcons.
They're called Falcons
Rising.
Force.
Falcons Force.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, obviously. Need Academy kids. I do know the Falcons Academy project's been in the works for a while. I've also got information that they're not looking for any Russian types because of visa bullshit and annoying. To paraphrase, I mean, look, they've missed the boat on certain talents. I didn't think they were going to be the type. I think they were the type of team who want to sign like 3/4 done, half done type kids, not like complete nobodies. So I think they've missed on like the timing for a couple of these players, but. Look, they've got a lot of money. They could take players from other academies. We'll see what they do. But for me, it's it's just just a curiosity. Like, they signed Native Safix. We'll see what players get rumored, get linked. We'll be talking about it, obviously, as it comes out. We'll probably have a decent scope, like a decent amount of intel on the players. I'm assuming they're not going too deep into the scene in terms of face-it players to make their academy, but we won't know for sure for a while.
If NATO Safix has free reign, I think he might, because he seems pretty, like, he seems like I think he's proven at this point he's a pretty good coach, the way NIP Impact have improved under him. So, and I mean, if he goes as deep as I think he could do, like, look at the players that he he wants to, and then yeah, they could probably go pretty deep, but no idea if it's going to work out. Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah, it's always high risk, high reward getting
Yep.
FPL kids, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
Right, that's all the moves we have listed. We don't have any prospects of the week this week, in part because there's very little CS being played, in part because we thought this would take long enough, and it certainly has.
Yeah.
Casual 2 hours and 15 minutes just to go through the Rostermania. And I am going to end this as soon as I can, get a tea, and then go die in my bed.
Yeah. And as always, something big is going to happen just after we end the episode. So set a timer for about 3 hours, and there's going to be something on HLTV like Navi bench wonderful. Yeah, like it's
Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Members, enjoy the VOD. Well, I'm joking. This is a public VOD. I'm joking. I'm going to die because I'm sick, Gary. That's how illness works. First your nose runs, you get a headache, fever, you take a bunch of drugs, then you die. Yeah. But okay, we'll see you next week. Tune in throughout the week for more streams, more content, probably coming soon as well. Working on that stuff as best I can. And yeah, we'll see you later. Goodbye.